All right, let me.
A bit and bob that like everyone knows is like part of a combo. They're like, no, you don't get both. Stop it. Get out of here.
Unmuting the stream and switching the screen chat, but as Visser kindly typed in the chat, I was gonna try and get some Duelist Cup missions in real quick, and I got a sticky one, so it's not over yet. But I don't want to just quit because Master Duel still kind of sucks and like punishes you for surrendering, which is really annoying for an online game that I don't control the cutoff.
You don't control the rate at which your opponent duels.
Yeah, so it's like, well, Yu-Gi-Oh, what do you do if I have to, what do I do if I have to piss? What do I do if my Uber Eats arrives at my door? And it's like, normally you just fold and move on, but we're in the middle of a match. It's like, well, it's that meme that's not really true, but in Master Duel it's kind of true in a sense about like the prisoner's dilemma that everybody's concerned about, like your opponent holding you hostage. In Master Duel it's kind of true because like if your opponent's just fucking around and like not beating you or losing, you can't just fold, go next, and get your credit. You have to stick it out until they actually kill you. And there are competitive formats in Master Duels. It's a little annoying. Oh, that's annoying. I guess I should have Lancey Fusion Substitute.
Objectively, the funniest point value on this list of spoilers, guys. We're gonna talk about the new Yu-Gi-Oh format.
Yeah, they invented Genesis literally yesterday. Not actually true. They said they've been working on it for like 2 years, but they posted it yesterday, so like it's fresh in everybody's mind. It's really interesting. Do I wanna? No, I don't want to do that. Sorry, the match we're embroiled in right now is I'm locked deeply in the Amazon S versus Mimigul matchup.
They were so close. They almost made Diablosa's 89 points. They should have. It would have been so funny. These numbers looking 89.
That would be cute. I'm kind of glad they didn't, because it means that they're probably trying to make it so you don't do that.
I know. I'm just looking to see if there are any that actually match a value, because it'd be funny.
I mean, I heard a lot of talk. Don't look up Gub's point cost.
Bamboozling Gossip Shadow is 70. You're like a 75. It's fine. Wait, glow up bulb. Oh,
jump scare. There are a couple of formats. I'll pull it up on screen and show the rules in a second. My opponent is fucking slow playing me, and unfortunately reporting them for it never goes anywhere. Okay, they scooped, thank God. They were like, it's not worth it, bro. Whew, okay. All right, I'm going to run to the bathroom real quick.
Wahoo!
Because my duelist level went up, though, chat. I got 100 jams. Yay. All right, sorry, I lied. Actually, I got three tickets. I forgot what rank I was at, but I will be right back. I think it's 100 for an 8-pack. Yeah, I think 100's for an 8-pack, because it's 1,000 for a 10 pull.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, I'll be right back.
But yeah, so chat, we were musing a little over point values. I'm gonna wait to have like overarching opinions on this stuff till we're fully discussing it. But I said in the server, if anyone watching has been paying attention to the chats in there, but I'm cautiously optimistic about this because this format seems really cool in concept. I like the idea. I like just going back to, I guess no, like Pendulums have been around for a decade, so yeah, we are going back to the Stone Age of Yu-Gi-Oh! Before everyone's MO was doing turbo FTKs, but I'm exaggerating. But I think there's a lot of fun in this format. My only problem is that we know what Konami's like, guys. We know what Konami's like. Will they support this format actually, though? That's the question.
That at least, I'm back by the way, that at least seems to be the intent, because they said not only will they, technically, they've already been quote-unquote supporting Genesis, because they were like, by the way, if you played Rivalry of the Warlords in like the last YCS season, you were secretly playing Genesis, because they were playtesting, Genesis point compatible decks that way.
Well, that's neat.
And apparently some people got like the Graceful Charity and Pog snuck in there a little. But they also said they're going to be running pretty aggressive side events at YCSs, and there will be at least one YCS in 2026, which will be all Genesis format. So like
that
at least for about a year, they're committed to this.
If they have set this timeline and commit to it, and it even moderately succeeds, they should keep going with this, because this is definitely the format you support for not even the casual players, just the players who don't want to build the brand new $700 deck every 2 months.
Yeah, so here's the logo. I've switched the screen to show it. So they go out of their way to say the Genesis rules are simple. So this is a new alternate format for everybody following at home. They have 4 core rules. No Link monsters or Pendulum monsters are allowed. All of the cards are allowed. The original field layout is used with no EMZ, no Pendulum zones. So right out the gate, this is an interesting format. I think this means that there's always going to be room for the classic advanced format, because I mean, they're going to keep printing Pendulum decks and Link monsters, and like there are some people who like Link decks, but lets them.
I enjoy.
Go ahead.
I enjoy Pendulums and Links. It's more just like the problem of high power Yu-Gi-Oh at this point in its life cycle. While there are decks that don't build that, like they have kind of figured out the power level of decks that aren't wholly built around Link combos or Pendulum slop, which is barely even a thing anymore. But like Link combo slop is just so ubiquitous. I mean, I'm sure it's still going on because I haven't kept up with the meta intently.
Well, literally last TCG ban list, they shot Splash Mage. Like, yeah, you're right. Cyber's Link spam decks have just continued to exist. They literally killed Splash Mage on the TCG ban list like last week. Because he's just a fucking free Link 3. If you have a Link 2, you have a Link 3. Cool, great. But yeah, no. I think so. I don't want to let Konami. You said earlier we know what they're like. I don't want to let Konami get away scot-free from this. This decision was definitely influenced by the fact that Pendulums and even a little Links are kind of a. I don't quite want to say like a millstone around their neck, but they are kind of like a badge that Yu-Gi-Oh's forced to wear with the like Yu-Gi Boomer types, or even new players like who don't know anything. Like Links and Pendulums are a meme at this point. Show somebody Pendy Endy and they go, ah! They like melt like a vampire.
It's the badge of shame on modern Yu-Gi-Oh, where I don't know, like. There are some gripes with the Pendulum mechanic that I understand, because I remember like when I was playing competitive Yu-Gi-Oh, I was playing competitive Yu-Gi-Oh right as the Pendulum era started, and it did kind of feel like you guys are making these rules up. Like what do you mean a Pendulum monster goes to the graveyard as like XP material, but if it's on the field then it goes to the extra deck? It's like it can be a learning curve of just unwieldy mechanics that just don't really have a through line of concept. Link monsters, I feel, are way more streamlined. It's more so the baggage of Link monsters still almost involving Pendulum monsters that like the Yu-Gi Boomers, they're seen as one blob of problem as opposed to 2 separate identities.
And very infamously, the jump from MR3 to MR4 was contentious because they did kind of like, much like with Pendulums, they did kind of remodel the whole game to make Links work. And make them the new hotness, which is unpopular in a way.
The competitive meta, I mention this every single time we talk about Link format. I'll shut up about it eventually, I'm sure. But especially in the TCG, the exact moment of the meta that the Link era was entered into, was an era where it was all non-extra deck decks at the top of the totem pole, and also Zodiac, which only summons one extra deck monster on the board. They summon one gigantic Trident and kill you with it, or Borbo or anything else. But like,
which to be fair, that's not necessarily Konami's fault. That's the problem of you hand these tools to the player base, they're gonna do player things with them.
Yeah, I don't blame Konami
Completely unrelated,
for
but slightly
era.
relevant, because I know you've gotten back into WoW, and if Dallas ever joins us, I know he plays it off and on. But apparently there was recently like a blog post or something from Blizzard about PvP-only servers in Classic, where they basically were like, yeah, PvP-only worlds don't work because you guys don't actually want a war. You want one faction to dominate and bully everybody on the other faction, and so the player population shifts until it might as well not be a PvP server. Apparently, the kind of people who enjoy PvP servers in WoW were upset by this revelation. But it's true, though. That's how players are. Like, you give a guy, just simple game theory, like, you give a person the tools they need to win and achieve an optimal outcome without their opponent being able to interfere with that outcome. They're just going to be like, well, I'll just win. I'll simply win. And I do think that, like, genuinely people do enjoy back and forth matches in Yu-Gi-Oh! A lot. I like interactive formats. It's evidenced by the fact that this format's really popular. But people will still play the uninteractive bullshit because they want to win. Even though this is Yu-Gi-Oh! And winning means nothing.
Yeah, I will say PvP, like, I'm going to touch on this topic and we're going to leave it and never touch it again. Unless Dallas comes back and we have a conversation about it, who knows? But PvP in WoW has I want to say PvP in WoW has like facilitated a PTSD in my brain. I despise my PvP and MMOs. Like, even now I'll play 14 with friends and they mention doing PvP and I just enter the tunnel vision of like, oh god, let's not. Can we not? Please don't drag me into this.
Yeah, that's in fact, that is, you are literally having an anxiety attack, yes. That's not great. Not shocked, though, but yeah. But no, so to finish off point number one, I think, honestly, while I don't want to say it's not because pendulums are pendulums, I think it is truly, they wanted to simplify down from the EMZ. There is a decent complaint to be had here, chat, which is just like, wow, anything to avoid printing rush tools, which, yes, this kind of feels like it. It's not exactly the same because this doesn't do quite all the things Rush Duel does, but I think Konami of America, the TCG, realized that one of the things that Rush Duel does very well that makes the game simpler, easier to understand, and faster to follow is they cut the EMZ out. The EMZ is one of those things that if you don't know what you're doing, whether it's because you're an old head who hasn't gotten back into it or you're brand new, you're like, so which EMZ do I put in? And they're like, oh no, it doesn't matter, you can pick. Like, I understand why they do that, because they want to set up, like, the U-Link and shit. That's completely unnecessary choice paralysis. There's no reason for the EMZs to work like that, other than that it gives Yu-Gi-Oh! Players another little, ha-ha, you've placed your zones incorrectly moment, which is daunting to new people.
I will say, would I prefer Rush Duels? Probably, because Rush Duels does, like, the little bit I've played of Rush Duel is super, super fun, and it does look like a really interesting, like, game set. But if Genesis, they keep running with it, and this becomes our proper alt format, we say that to every single alt format they've tried to do. So again, like, whatever, I don't know. Like, it's.
I have some thoughts overall about why.
It'll work.
You know, I have my cynical opinions on why Konami has decided to go this route. I'll talk about that when I talk about all the rules, because I feel like I've cracked the code here, but, you know, I could just be doing that thing humans do where they see patterns. So, number 2 rule is there is no Forbidden and Limited card list. You can use any card except Link Monsters and Pendulums. You just have the usual hard cap of 3.
Makes sense.
Now, you're wondering, how the fuck is this balanced, Omega? Rule number 3. Deck construction uses a point system. Some cards are assigned a point value. Most cards cost 0 points. There's like literally over 10,000 cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! I think 500 of them tops maybe on this list have a point value. So they say that the total point cost in your main, extra, and side combined cannot exceed the point cap.
At the bottom of the list, it lists 505 entries. So there are 500 cards. Like, there are 500 cards on this list.
So, like, in actuality, it is, a very, very tiny slice. And they do then say number 4, which is technically a qualifier. The standard point cap is 100, but events can be run with any point cap, even a 0-point cap. Official tournament stores can set their own caps for tournaments. So, before we look at the point values and kind of break down how this works, chat, I think I've realized why Konami has been brewing on this one. We've talked before, after all the fuckery that Konami has done, both up front and behind the scenes with Time Wizard. I have raised a point which is I think the reason why Konami is fucking with Time Wizard is a point that nobody who plays Edison, because you don't play Time Wizard, you play Edison, which is one of my reasonable critiques nobody acknowledges, is that Edison format's just Edison format. It's also the fact that, it's really hard for Konami to move product about Edison. Edison can kind of be a way for people to jump into the game if they're new or if they're lapsed, but that's not an ideal way to do it because it's a snapshot of decks which are fan favorites but aren't meta-relevant, really. So, there's no, catching up to Modern, but you also can't use Modern support, because it's a Time Wizard or, time travel type format. And also, printing for retro formats is really weird because Edison has very specific rules, at least it did under Time Wizard, about prio, the zones, etc. Yeah, and that led to problems with reprinting retro packs because on the one hand, and DZ had a great video actually where they ripped some retro pack 2s which have the old school card text on them. People like retro pack 2, but also some people were like, who the fuck is this for kind of a thing. If they do retro reprints and modern shit, that's not necessarily going to be marketable to Edison players because it has old card text. But Konami doesn't want to or has new card text, I should say. But Konami doesn't want to put old card text in brand new product because that's just also confusing. I think Genesis is their way to solve that. Go ahead.
To make a kind of allusion to Magic the Gathering, because if anyone's watched some videos of other YouTubers discussing this, the phrase Canadian Highlander has been brought up a few times, which is basically just a more strict version of Commander in the barest bone sense, but we're not going to get into rule sets. But in Magic especially, there are tons of just random artifacts of text that you will find playing just casual Commander. My friend was forced into as a kind of a bit of a rib dare bit to make a deck built around the Ancient Three Kingdoms set in Magic the Gathering. And there are cards that just say, tapping this card does not cause it to attack. Now, if you know Magic, that's just Vigilance. But that was before they designed Vigilance as a mechanic. So you run this risk, you run this weird state of printing cards where suddenly, just the way things are phrased, the way some mechanics worked, in the ancient times of the card game, reprinting those cards, sure, you can just put, on that card simply just put Vigilance because it's should be Vigilance. But there can be very weird nebulous rulings that, it's not actually Vigilance because of this, and that, and
it's
stuff like that.
Keyword. So it's a special text. Yeah, shit like that. And Yu-Gi-Oh's kind of in the same spot. How many times doing a prog poll or some other or doing Fail Portrayal for years, did we look at a card and go, this card's never been reprinted. This is pre-PCST. Because you can tell, because the old school Yu-Gi-Oh text in English is sometimes super weird.
Yeah. Regardless of the position.
Yeah, no. So that means that Konami has this problem where they can't print actual retro cards because those are only good in retro formats. And again, I understand Edison's very cool. It's a snapshot format that was legal for a weekend tops, I think. Maybe a month was the window. The actual Edison event was one weekend. So I know it's very cool and skill intensive, but Konami can't do product around it forever because eventually every single person who plays Edison will own their Edison deck that never changes because the format never changes. And that was one of my points, so that people were, I don't know why people didn't think of this. I guess they were just too much why are they fucking with my thing? Edison is my thing. It's well, they're fucking with your thing because you're not a paying customer anymore. Yeah, you have to do an entry fee to get to a officially sanctioned tournament or whatever, but I know a little bit from fandom sidelines. Venues are expensive and fucky. I doubt that Konami is making a big profit margin off of entry fees into Time Wizard sideboard events and shit. they need to be able to move product, and if they're not moving product to you, you're not a customer. Unfortunately, the way of the world, guess what? That means they don't give a shit. If you're not a paying customer, they don't care.
Yeah, and look,
I think
are we saying this is something that we like? No, it sucks. But unfortunately, money, capitalism, yada yada yada. Like companies have to make profit. And
hey, guess what?
Sometimes they have to build things around a profit.
If Konami doesn't make money anymore, they can't host tournaments. You have to give them money because they also have to exchange money for goods and services like venues and hopefully, people to run them and organize them. Like you want to see events streamed, they need to make sure that go on.
Yeah, it's unfortunately a lose-lose situation for the consumer, but that is sometimes the price of having a hobby like this that is not made to like be accessible. And again, it sucks that it's not accessible. Like I'm not condoning this, I'm not justifying it, but it is just the way it works, which sucks.
Well, and saying that, I think that is the secret sauce of why did they invent Genesis. I think they invented Genesis to have the appeal of retrofied formats that can get in the Yugi boomers, the lapsed guys, the old heads, because this format is great if you're an anime one-tricker, an anime deck, one-trick guy.
Oh, for sure.
But also, it is simplified for newer players. And how many times have you heard another Yu-Gi-Oh! Streamer talking about new sets and being like, this archetype's very interesting, but it, won't make a competitive cut. The power level's not high enough. Or have you heard a complaint like, oh, there's so much chaff, there's so much pack filler in packs these days. Not that there always hasn't been loads of pack filler, but, it's one of those things where, like, the quality of a single Yu-Gi-Oh! Card is much higher these days. So you end up these situations where you're like, well, there's no way these cards make the cut in the advanced format. Hey, here's Genesis. 0 point, weird edge case cards may actually have room because now this whole point value thing exists. So you have a strong limit on how many cards you can pack. So let's like scroll this a little and see an example. They've got a lot of stuff on here you're going to notice is straight up 100 points. That's basically as close, I think, as they can get to banning a card in a no ban list format. If a card's 100 points, they're basically saying, okay, bucko, you want to play this? You get 1 in your main side and extra, and that's it. You can play no other point cards. Fuck you. Figure it out. Some of them are not that intense, but definitely match up. So, like, Abyss Dweller, 100 points.
We were talking about this before the stream started. There are some very amusing point values that at a glance look incredibly just why is this here? But then you look at further in the list, like, oh, it's because we don't want this card to explicitly match the point values where you can play both halves of this combo. So we've made it impossible for you to do it.
And they explicitly said, they had a blog post today, they were talking about, hey, how are we going to do point value adjustments? They phrased it very good, I think, because they were like, hey, so what happens if I invent a new deck that's all the rage? Am I instantly going to get my deck's point value hit? And they're like, no. We don't care if you are a singular innovator who makes a deck good. We care if the point value exists so that everybody is playing the exact same highly competitive deck. Basically, they want more varied decks in the format. Then they might actually do something about their point combo. They actually used the phrase skill issue unironically. They said, well, if you are the only person making this deck work, that's what the kids call a skill issue. We don't care. Like, they straight up said that, which I think is great, because there are a couple of one-trickers in Yu-Gi-Oh! And who only the pilot has that competitive success. So very strong of them to admit it. But they had one exception. They said, hey, guess what? If your one-trick deck is a consistent FTK strategy, you're cooked. We're going to get you.
Now, look, if you're that one-trick plant synchro guy on the tournament, good for you, dude. But if that plant synchro is like Ancient Fairy FTK, no, we're killing you. We're breaking your kneecaps.
We will send you to prison. And you'll see that a lot in this list. A lot of floodgates are 100 points straight up, and a lot of weird, like we said, FTK tricks are 100. So like I said, Dweller 100, Amorfactor Pain 100. Why is he 100 points? Because we just don't want you playing a good deck with Amorfactor Pain, homie. If you want to play,
my personal favorite that I found on this list is Give and Take, which you'll look that card up and go, what does this card do? This does nothing. But it's a 91 point cost shitty trap from 2009 that explicitly is like part of the that can be a piece in the Gimmick Puppet lock. So we had to give this shitty little card that no one would actually play 91 points.
To basically be like, yeah, you're not playing this. All barrier statues are 60 points, so you can never fit more than one copy in your deck.
You get your one, and it is a good chunk of your deck's value.
Yeah. Baronne de Fleur is 85 points, which I like, because it means that if there's some sort of engine that makes Baronne real good, if it has a point value, you can't play Baronne in that deck. Chat, basically, they've invented that thing that road decks always say, which is like, oh, well, we need powerful generic tools like Baronne to make the cut. The points value actually works for that. It means that if you play a deck that is literally 0 points, you can play shit like one Baronne. Let me actually see. Actually, Apple is a straight up ban link, so yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
I believe nearly every like generic floodgate is 100 points. Yeah. I saw skill drain. I think like they're trying to make it to where you can play like pure stun if you want to, but you're only getting that one big floodgate, and you better not hope that big floodgate gets popped.
Yeah, what is his face? Fossil Dino, I think is his name.
Fossil
Dino Pachycephalo. 100 points. He deserves it. Send that fucker to hell.
Yeah.
Most hand traps are 10 or 15 points. There is one card. You'll see it right here, chat. Also, by the way, Dimension Fusion is 45. D-Barrier is 100. But in between those two cards, Dimension Shifter is only 5 points. This is a call for concern for some, I think correctly, because while most decks that would play Shifter are cooked, Tenpai is like every single card, like every one copy of a card in Tenpai that matters is like 33 points, so you can only play the one copy you can play under the current FNL list. Several of the Fluanderese cards are all like a number of points. Yeah, Robina, Advent, and Map are all 33, so you're playing like, you gotta fuck with your own ratios.
Yeah, like, Shifter at 5 is like, we could just be looking at the Boogeyman and just being a Boogeyman and nothing happens, but 5 points is a very low value for a very high power, like, hand trap like that. And granted,
I wouldn't be...
It's just, I mean, not relevant in the formats.
It could be. It could be nowhere. Like, Ghost Ogre, for instance, is also 5. Ghost Mourner is, like, 7. Bell is 5. I think Ash is 15. Imperm is 15, you know. Like,
I think a lot of those make sense because, like...
The only free hand traps are, like, I think Skullmeister and DD Crow are both 0 points.
Yeah, I mean, like, Skullmeister is... Skullmeister and Engraver of the Mark are the, like, hand traps that, like, every guy goes, hey, it works every 1 in 100 times, so I gotta play it.
Evenly matched is only 10 points, but that does mean if you want to run 3 inside, that's 30% of your whole ass points.
Yeah, like, looking at just the standard point value, because this is what tournaments are going to be built around. Obviously your locals can do whatever the hell they want with the point values if they feel like it on like a Friday or whatever. But you want to look at this from the standard perspective. Just like we're looking at this from the standard perspective for the sake of the game balance. Because once you go to like 500 point value, you can play whatever you want at that point. Honestly,
you can literally like I think somebody's charted out. I think to play full power tier, you have to play like a 2,000 point format.
Yeah,
because each of them is like 50. All the Ishizu cards are 50. There's some interesting stuff here. I love this, by the way. Domain of the True Monarchs, 50 points. You can play maybe 2 copies of your extra deck of your no extra deck Monarch strat, bud. You know, stuff like that. Rexterm is like 91 points because he's just a skill drain. I love that.
Monarchs are up. Ooh, Zaborg is 80.
Mega Zaborg?
Yeah, Megazaborg, I'm sorry.
Makes sense, makes sense. So, chat, here's what I think I figured out how they do this. I think what the plan here is because they want this to be a more introductory, kind of like more free-for-all format, they have actually hit a lot of negative play cards. Like, I think it was... I saw Peeps talking about how, like, Imperm is, like, 15 or something, and being like, hey, why is Imperm 15 and D-Shifter is 5? Well, Shifter is annoying, but all the decks that would really abuse him are reined in. And also, like, your hand traps themselves also all cost points, so, like, it's one of those cards that's going to have a mixed value. Imperm is a card that...
deck can play.
Any deck can play Imperm, and also, Imperm is a card that can end your turn. It's much less common these days with good Yu-Gi-Oh! Decks that a single Imperm stops your play, but I've played, like, various casual formats and stuff like that. Imperm, the normal summon, can suck ass, and this is going to be a format where a lot of people are going to be playing low-power decks that could eat an Imperm pass, and it's like, okay, no, you gotta pay for that. If you're gonna ruin the other guy's day, we have to start working on your deck composition, basically. Like, powerful negates and shit like that, where basically we stop the turn. Could go a little crazy. Other shit, less so. Fiber Jar, 30 points.
Silly guy, deck lockdown, like, no one's gonna play that, but we don't want to leave the one, like, again, we don't want to leave this one floodgate that nobody ever looks at as being important at, like, 5 points, and then it suddenly becomes the format warper because it's the one floodgate that no one plays around.
Yeah, so let me scroll to see the big one that people are all... I already highlighted Graceful Charity's 40, so you can play 2. It's effectively semi-limited in this. But the man, the myth, the legend... Where a Pot of Greed is 30 points, right between Pot of Desires at 20 points and Prosby at 40. So yeah, Konami, by the way, says Pot of Greed is literally less good than Pot of Prosperity. But here's the thing. Several people have been like, hey, why are, like, Dark World cards more expensive than Pot of Greed? Or why is, like, Ancient Gears, like, 33 points? If you're playing Genesis format and you see your opponent slap down Pot of Greed, that is a relief. You go, oh, thank God, my opponent's playing a fucking 0-point strategy with 3 Pot of Greed as a crutch. If you can play full-power Dark World in an unlimited format where there's going to likely be less hand traps because they cost points, that's just hand rip FTK.
Yeah, it's like
unlimited Dark World is crazy.
The same value. And the same value of Ancient Gears. Ancient Gears, okay, they're not powerful. I would not put them at a strong level. But guys, have you read an Ancient Gear card before? Like, I don't think some people
the two Ancient Gears that have point values is literally their last 2 bits of support. It's Statue and Advance from, like, last year that are 33 points each. So they're basically saying, hey, if you want to run a playset of your really good Ancient Gear cards, you got to use your whole point value for this. You can't do anything else funny because Ancient Gears is just prehistoric Tenpai, chat. Like, that's true. It's just prehistoric Tenpai. They have cards that prevent you from interacting with Ancient Gears. They fusion summon from the extra deck a giant fuck-off guy who, like, is immune to spells or prevents you from activating spells and traps. Like, you just die.
What is it? The Kerberos Mecha Howler that is just like a 4K asshole that sits on the board and just pings you for a 1,000 every turn. It's not I wouldn't even say it's a good card, but it's just like, oh, I just don't have an answer to this game, so I lose. That's just how those cards go sometimes.
And they've got smart stuff, you know. Obedient School is like 40 on here. You can almost get to Numeron OTK. Yeah, but network is 33, so you can't play calling and 3 calling 3 network. It's just not allowed.
The best way I would describe it, they're trying to avoid those feel bad moments for the watershed player. They don't want these players trying this new format. They get dunked on by the Ancient Gear one tricker, and obviously Ancient Gear one tricker is like the mermail one trick. Like, but they're just trying to avoid those random, like, rogue decks that no one thinks about, but in an unlimited format, these decks could just kill you.
Basically, I think a lot of the cards that have point costs at all generally fall into a couple of levels. Many of them are meta cards, like they are the best of the best of the last, like, I want to say, like, maybe 5 years of decks have high point costs. But a lot of floodgates are 100 points or, like, 90 points to lock you out. And they're just to be like, hey, you can play floodgates if that's, like, your crutch against a deck. You can play, like, your silver bullet floodgate and then play the rest of your 0-point strategy. The rest of the tools, I think, they've said they're against FTKs. I also think this deck is designed so that you cannot play blind second OTK decks either. Because, like, I think Raigeki costs points. Where is he? There he is. Yeah, Raigeki is 7, so you can probably reasonably fit 3 Raigeki, so long as you don't fit anything else in there. All of your runs are like at least 1 points.
If you're playing blind second OTK, you are relying essentially on just putting out a billion damage on the board, as opposed to putting out 8K and drawing two pieces of, like, board wipe interaction.
And they, like, Mikonkos are on this list as well. Mikonko is another deck that it can be a blind second OTK strategy that's really annoying to deal with. Lots of people complain about Mikonko's gameplay style, even though it wasn't good. Yeah, Water Arabesque is on here. I think Ohime, their big one, is like 10 or 20 points. Where is she? Sorry, it might be Arahime. Arahime Manifested Mikonko is 33. Yeah, so, like, you basically have to nerf your ratios in order to play this shit. Called By is 20. You know, it's Called By is a card that technically you can now play 3 Called By the Grave, but that's eating over half your point value, and, keep in mind, is trading bad points-wise with every single hand trap, because almost all of those are, like, every hand trap monster, I should say, is 15 points or less.
Is Crossout on this list?
Oh, is Crossout, where he would be...
That'd be a funny guy.
Crossout Designator, 10! Konami admits Crossout Designator is a bad card.
Well, that also makes sense, because playing Crossout, you would also have to play the card you want to cross out. So I honestly don't mind the fact that Crossout is low value, because its value is based on the card you want to cross out.
The spoilers chat, Maxi, by the way, does have a point value, so he's not a 0-point card. Maxi's value is 50. So you can play a bad deck with 2 Maxi in it. That's it. That's all you get. Kashiras are all like 30 points, all the ones that matter, except for Iceheart. He's 97 points. Fuck you.
The more we talk about, like, I didn't have a full breadth of the point values. The more we talk about this, the more I'm really actually super on board with this, because what this, I forget if we said this in exact words, but this point system has essentially stymied the idea of, oh, well, every deck plays the same 15 cards.
Yeah, I feel like that was what the intent was, because they straight up said that, like, they're only going to adjust point values if it matters. And so it's like, okay, that means then that if they don't matter, then yeah, there's lots of other stuff going on here. And there's weird shit too, by the way. I've literally scrolled this because I was going to look for Max C. Metamorphosis is only 10. You can play 3 Metamorphosis in this format? You can play 3 Metamorphosis and play 2 Pots of Greed? Who cares? But Mind Drain, 100 points. Fuck you if you want to play Mind Drain, buddy.
Yeah, it's a floodgate. Can't play.
Yeah, no. Lose 1 turn is 100 points. You know, get bent. Lightning Storm's 40, so you can probably only fit 2 reasonably normally.
Are they shittier floodgates than just Skill Drain? Yes. But also, it's still a floodgate, and we cannot miss a floodgate on the point values, or people will latch on to it. We cannot let that happen.
And I think that's right. Basically, the way they did this was they looked at every card that is a floodgate and went, okay, that has to be all of them have to be 100 points no matter how dog shit they are, because if we accidentally forget a guy and leave him at 0 points, everybody's going to play that fucking floodgate. They'll make decks that play that floodgate. Yeah. And we know they were crafting this for allegedly 2 years, they said. They've been working on this. You know that means that Konami has been, like, breathing down the necks of competitive players. They know what deck building is like. So they know if they were doing their research properly.
And you know,
Here's a guy that they've always said they want banned, a Magician of Black Chaos Max, because he technically can do like a turn skip type effect. You know, your opponent can't activate card effects. He's 100 points. They have solved the problem of, oh, you could just tech in, Black Chaos Max. No, you can't. You can't tech in shit.
Yeah, it
doesn't work.
A handful of YouTubers have mentioned, Konami was in contact with us about this. Like, and that can be any level of they were actually, like you said, they were discussing with actual pro players, guys, just name any card with a floodgate effect ever to us that we might have missed, please. Like just help us. Help us find
40.
the cards we have to kill.
Ooh, 1-for-1's 91. Wow. Pricey, but probably deserved. Your Cyframes are all there. Cyframe Lord Omega is 100 points, so you can play exactly one.
But you can't play any of your other big Cyframe guys, because Gamma is definitely the big one there.
Yeah. Like I said, they made every single rum at least 1 point. Red Reboot is 50. Dragoon is 100. I don't know if that's deserved, but Dragoon is like the one-trick guy of Rogue decks, so that's fair. Rhoda is 40 points, so technically Rhoda's semi-limited in this. Ronin Totem is back.
Okay. That's interesting, actually.
Secret Village is 100 points.
Oh no, never mind. They're the same value. Sorry, I thought I saw that Delta was at 5 for some reason. But
no, it's like 7, and then 15 for the big one.
Yeah, they made Gamma 15 because it's the effect negate, and the spell and trap 7. So I think that tracks.
Your Solemns all have like all the big Solemns. Like Judgment is 7, makes sense. Strike and Warning are 5, so it's one of those things of like,
wait, is that?
Yeah.
Is that Snake Eye 105 points?
Yeah, because original Sinful Spoils is 100 points. You literally can't play Ash and Poplar and also play OSS, so...
Okay,
fuck it, play 3 Ash, play 3 Poplar. We don't give a shit.
Yeah. Okay, you know
Says
what?
Konami.
Okay, I'll shut up.
Like, that's the thing, right? Like, every time you think there's something that's like, that's crazy, you're like, wait a minute. Because, like, hey, guess what? Where is it? Terraforming. Terraforming's 33 points. So if you're playing, again, a 0-point deck that needs its field spell, you're allowed to legally play 3 Terraforming and nothing else, basically.
It'll be your big thing, but like, if this is say like a Rescue Ace deck or like one of those random decks they designed, circa like late 2015, like separate of the Pendulum era, where they were just making random odd decks that were built around this Protect the Castle field spell, and if that field spell explodes, I'm sorry, dude, you die. Like you just don't do anything anymore.
Yeah, no. So like it, and I think it works out a lot. I will say there are some decks that are maybe a little maligned. Unfortunately, you can't play Lab in this format very good because I think Welcome, Big Welcome, and Big Lady are all 33, so you're like one-ofs, and then you can't also play generic cards, which was probably a little more intense than they needed to go because like you can't play D Barrier as well and lots of other bullshit, normal traps.
They're all 33, so you can play one of each and a funny little 1-point cost guy. But that is your entire point value for the.
And I like that like a lot of cards that like in the advanced format probably can't come back off 1 normally. Like Trishul I think was limit 1 for a long time. 3 points. You'll probably be fine. But like if you're playing a really sweaty Floodgate deck, you can't also have like a Trishula. It's just how it is. VFD's here, True King of All Calamities, 100 points. If you're playing a deck that can make rank 9s and can cheat out VFD, sure, fuck it.
Yeah, like, man, do you want to summon 2 Trishes? Is that your deck's game plan? Fuck it, man, have fun. Like at this point in Yu-Gi-Oh's lifespan, like Trish being at more than 1 is like one of those like problem cards just because of the level of removal. Fuck it. Like when we're limited so much of the power level, and even keeping the post-link like decks maybe a bit too tied down here and there, like
Honestly, I don't think Axe has been able to get much of a word at edgewise over the two of us, but it did actually remind me of something he's asked about before, which is like, could you make it so only certain cards can interact with other cards? This is basically the closest they can get to that. If you adjust the point values so that you can only play like 1/3 of one thing and then maybe 1 copy of another thing, that really opens up the game design space, because that means that you cannot legally afford to play certain combinations of cards. Like quick launch is like 33.
X.
I don't really know what to add to it. It's
Yeah,
part of it's also because I was trying to wait for families. I apologize for that.
that's fine.
Dark Matter Dragon is 50. That's funny.
I did see grass, and it made a light bulb go off in my head that we hadn't discussed. Guys, if you're playing more than 40 cards, you're kind of fucked. You might be a little fucked if you're playing more than the min 40.
Yeah, it's one of those things of like, obviously with your point cost, like if your deck uses more, you're gonna have a rough time. But you could build a grass deck and just have a deck that's high volume, out there. Like I said, Pot of Greed is 30.
I guess it mainly comes down to like what other cards that a grass
Sorry,
deck would want to
I'm
play
laughing because
that
Magical
are on
Scientist
this
is
list.
95 points. Konami's basically like, okay, you can have Magical Scientist. Can you find a Broken Fusion monster to play with him? No, fuck you.
Yeah, it's like also the obvious one that you think of Magical Scientist is already at 100. Last Warrior. Fuck, get that fucker out of here. Quit him. Kill him.
Last Warrior from Another Planet killed the Deckmaster format. Like,
Yeah.
we just couldn't play that format because everybody would just turbo Last Warrior. I like that, like, a lot of Kawakimerus have points. Drago, by the way, is a 75 point because it's mostly a floodgate. But, like, it works because, like, one of the problems I think that a lot of people have with Yu-Gi-Oh's deck building is, like we said earlier, a lot of decks play the same cards, and a lot of decks play a lot of random cards as an engine, and it means they kind of end up smoothed out. Shout out to, once again, Curry Bandits Jaxel. He just put out the Doom of Dimensions video, where it turns out that secretly every deck that's supported is actually just waiting for a K9 package. But, like, this actually does something about that. Izuna, Ripper, and Lupus all have point values, so, like, it's going to be tough for you to fit, your generic board breakers and staple shit and a K9 engine and everything, Also, hey,
Yeah,
Heavy Storm on ban. Heavy Storm 25. I think
And
Feather
again,
Duster is like
it's
100 points too, or something, 33.
It can
It's big.
be a balance of. My biggest concern with the Genesis point list, like I'll just call it a ban list for the sake of it. The problem of this is the inevitable possibility that they end up ratcheting up some point values because we just want you to stop playing this and like maybe buy something else. And obviously you can just choose to play a lesser powered deck. I do think this format can be designed to where you're not always chasing the newest thing to play. You can just mess with the point buy does allow for a level of balance, but there will almost always be decks that go under the radar. And it will come down to Konami keeping an eye on like the meta and seeing if there are certain decks that are so powerful from the point due to the point value system. There are some decks that might just go under the radar and are like, I'm playing a 60-point deck that just kills people in one turn or something, stuff like that. Like, it just sometimes they might have to raise something up, but the problem of that is
Yeah, there's always a risk
Konami
that they're
has
not going to
done it
be
before.
responsive about it. Like I said, I think you mentioned it before, Jay. Dzeef put a video. Doug Zeef, did a video like right away when it got announced because he revealed that he was like at least shown this format ahead of time. By Konami, they discussed it, not like an official sponsorship, but it meant that the moment they announced it, he was ready to go with some thoughts. And he did say that when they were discussing it with him, Konami said that their plans were to have the point value updates pretty aggressively. Like, he made it sound like they were thinking like, maybe a specific week and a month kind of a thing would be points up. But also, I mean, that means that if nothing happens in the meta, how many Master Duel ban lists have you seen where, like, 2 cards are on it because it's once a month and it doesn't actually matter?
Yeah, that's the problem. It's a problem like Master Duel ban lists. I think I'm fine with month ban lists in Master Duel. It makes sense, but yeah, sometimes you just have a month where nothing's changed, so we don't want to change anything, and that can be fine. It can be fine when there's no changes. More just a matter of, will there be no changes when changes are needed?
That's always the concern, I think, with this sort of thing.
That makes me think about like other companies that do this, where it's like I put this. It just makes me think of Games Workshop of like other war games where it's basically point based, where sometimes how they adjust things is by like, up the cost or lower the cost of things to basically make things like more relevant or less relevant, or just like, or. But in those cases, they also just can change the rules of all a unit has by refreshing lines. So like, I mean, I can give a shit or whatever, but like, Yu-Gi-Oh won't do that though. They won't ever just rehash a card unless it's like the 1 or 2 times they ever actually did in their thousands and thousands of cards.
I mean, no.
Just, like,
I mean, they
text.
technically errata a lot of cards.
Yeah.
Well, usually
Like,
just
they
to
have-
like simplify the text. It's not actually to like rechange the effect.
No, they.
I mean,
they
hey,
change effects on
what's
cards
Summon Sork? What's
plenty
Firewall?
often.
We're gonna talk about Firewall Dragon today. That means I got to talk about both his pre and post
Yeah.
errata
Non-link
text.
monsters. What are non-link monsters they have actually changed the effect text of like directly?
Crush Card Virus.
Crush Card Virus
Like,
got
they've
like
errata
errata to be nerfed.
Plenty of card effects.
Ring of Destruction they changed so that they could unban it, but like I will say, and I mean Games Workshop's not any better. Like they adjust rules so that you see less of a list dominating tournaments, and so you have to buy new minis. But Konami usually focuses their errata changes around cards that were clearly released in the anime, so they've got a lot of like airtime, but also have problems. Like AFD actually got errata last year. Ancient Fairy Dragon, I think they errata it to be better.
They like to chase iconic cards and errata them so they can be back in the game even if they suck ass.
And I think honestly, like, here's the thing: you don't like here if Konami just has a bad card that's just got bad text, who cares? There's 10,000 cards. They just won't reprint them. Like, there are lots of cards that have been printed once and are kind of bad and don't ever need to be reprinted again because they're not good. And that's not a failing of Konami's.
Give and take.
God, yeah, the card
Had one
is not
point
good,
in
but
09.
but they hit it ahead of time. So it's like errata is not the be-all, end-all. Literally, we just talked about at the start of this, talking about like retro formats like Edison. Well, if you errata cards later, that can fuck with retro formats because that means you're changing the card text. And Konami does have an app, Neuron, to like give you updated card text and rulings, but it's not a guarantee. And here's the thing about Games Workshop. They might be, I think they got less so these days with like list builder apps and stuff. But when everything was purely in codexes, I've heard stories that like they were sometimes slow with adjusting point values and rules because it meant that the text in the book was no longer correct. For something like the Genesis format, the point value of a card has nothing to do with its printing. It has no association with its rarities or anything. It doesn't have to do with the card in the pack. It's all in this digital list, and they've said they're going to have a list builder and stuff. So, like, it's like Master Duel, where they're completely free to work on stuff and sort it out. Master Duel has other problems, I think, that have less to do with the TCG department and more just... I assume it's technically its own department because it's Digital Entertainment who runs Master Duel. And sometimes I don't know what their goal of the format is. I know there have been several videos, critical of Master Duel lately. I personally disagree. I think I've heard Farfa say that, like, Master Duel's in the, like, whale squeezing format. It's been out, like, 2 years. If their play numbers are low, it's because they're in the most unpopular format that the TCG's had in a long time, Ryziel Malice. The moment they start releasing Jush archetypes over there, Justice Hunters, people are going to flock back. And genuinely, I don't...
Yeah,
like MBT did in a recent video who's like, they charge you premium currency for deck slots. Well, I have 2,000 free gems right now. So I, and I'm not even, like, grinding out the Duelist Cup right now. Like, seriously, So, like, I think I could buy all the new deck and replay slots. Like, it's a little stupid, but, like, Konami, Master Duel is actually very FTP friendly.
I think this is one of those situations where, and this is unfortunately a perspective issue, where the Yugi tubing audience are not playing Master Duel the way a casual player plays Master Duel. And this isn't even to sound knocking them. I love a lot of these guys; they're great. But when your like job is playing Master Duel essentially, and like I agree with a good number of their gripes. Like, just put a draft format into the game. It's not that hard. But beside that point, like your job is to play Master Duel a lot, so you're buying gems and gems and gems and gems over and over just to do your job and like do the videos you guys do.
And you're just thinking about like how much your credit card bill is going to go up to buy deck slots, and it's like, but if you're not spending money on gems, it's like, well, whatever. You know, it's Master Duel is still super FTP friendly. I think the main thing is just that they did figure out where they can suckle on the teat of whales, and I don't think, and I might be wrong. Chat, let me know if I am. Let me know in the comments. But I don't think guys like Farfa, Doug, MBT, etc., have admitted they are effectively whales. Like, yeah, they're doing it for content, so they like can try and make their money back. But they are whales. Like, they are grossly overspending on this game. They are the disproportional spenders, so they can do content. So like,
I mean, MBT even makes MBT makes the joke like his like tri-annual Duel Links video.
Yeah,
he makes a joke every single time he plays that game. But I don't know why he doesn't. I don't know why they hasn't clicked in their heads that they're the same way for Master Duel, though. And again, this is not me insulting them or knocking them. I think it's just an unfortunate lack of perspective they have.
Also, it may be a perspective from us because we're those. We all three here are those degenerate internet freaks who play those gacha games. I have seen some dog shit predatory game practices. I have, seen games get better about it. Seen some games get worse. Master Duel is, in the gacha game format, remarkably rewarding to just let you play. And, yeah, it can suck to have a bad deck and play. Definitely, I think that, there is good commentary on the rarity. I think MasterChef, unironically, actually has good commentary about this, which is, where they're like, I'm not spending, 90 UR dust for 3 of this card that's not good. Yeah, that's true. Konami does have a bad ratio with holos. I feel like they have, a mandate from corporate about how many URs they need every selection pack. So they just have to make shit up. And it's you end up with decks that are, 90% URs. And then the player base complains a lot. I think they do contract a little when that happens. And then Konami goes, fuck it, okay. And then, they give you a little room. And then the players come back. And then Konami's like, okay, they're all back, URs again. And then they leave, and it's going to be like that. And I think that, the idea that they're in, the whale crunch death spiral, no way, man. If you're, literally, again, people are going to flock back to Master Duel the moment that they release archetypes that people like. But also, too, they do have some of the easiest bullets in their gun in the world. Like you said, do a draft ladder or a draft format. Easiest shit in the world. People will come for miles to play that shit over and over and over again.
This is something that the same YouTubers have talked about. Suddenly the Yu-Gi-Oh player base as a wider margin has realized, wait, limited is really fun, guys. It was always this weird stigma with the Yu-Gi-Oh player base that limited's for those posers who play Magic the Gathering or any other card game. I don't know why that existed for so long. But we finally hit this watershed point of the casual player base is doing limited play-in. They're finding fun ways to do it.
And I want to say, hey, right here, it probably won't happen right away because, unfortunately, Genesis is a TCG brainchild, though I did see some Japanese posters talking about it, on Twitter and stuff, so, the OCG is aware of it. So you might see a similar thing pop up over there. It probably won't be right away, but hey, guess what? There's another thing that can infuse in Master Duel. Master Duel is great for this kind of point-based format. The list builder is the app. You just add a function where in the database, all these cards you've coded, instead of, their Forbidden Limited list, unlimited status, you just hard code their point value, show the point value at the top of the deck, and then put a second ladder in for Genesis that's just 100 points, Do different events or trials that are 50-point weekend, 200-point weekend, shit like that. And that will bring in a whole new player base if you're concerned about your cards being meta-relevant, and you still have the ability to move product.
It is fairly clear with Master Duel that there is a mix of OCG and TCG input, even though it may not always feel like it. There definitely is. So it would not be that hard at all for Genesis to be incorporated into Master Duel. At that point, it's just a matter of coding it, which is not my side of the board. but it would
Yeah,
not be
yeah.
that hard at all to do so.
It's one of those things that's like it's clearly in a great option, and like Master Duel's in a cool place. I do think that like MBT talking about like his video was titled Master Duel's not for you, because he borrowed a term that apparently Wizards has been using a lot for certain Magic sets that are kind of like not doing as hot, and being like, oh, well, it's not for you. I do also think that like MBT is one of those guys who's like, oh, they're Fortniteifying Magic the Gathering, that's bad. Money-wise, that has not been the case, unfortunately. Like
The only reason my friends and I play Commander is because of the Fortniteification of Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, no, like that's the thing actually. Like go ahead, X.
I've honestly enjoyed. I need to probably play more Magic sometimes, but like I always enjoyed it more just for like playing, because like I'm a net decker half the time, right? I literally looked up lists of being like, what are lists people say are fun to play, and I look up like 20 like lists that have like 25 different things brews on them, and it's like I picked like 3 of them I like, and I play them on a simulator because I have to buy them on paper.
The curse, yes.
Kind of like, so I just go from that of being like, oh, this seems fun, I guess, and then I learned that it's like, oh, I'd actually learned what powerful Magic decks are.
But yeah, like
it just turns out everyone just fucking kills me like turn 5, and it's like, I thought we were gonna play like more than 10 turns and actually have fun.
Magic players, bulk at like Yu-Gi-Oh ending on turn 2, but it's still a different. It's just a different pace of play. You're still trying to win as soon as possible.
I play Commander games with friends that end in like turn 3, and we just have to stare at them like why are you playing this? Come on, like.
I do think that's the beauty of that's
20,
that's supposed to be the beauty of Commander, is that you go, come on, man. And I think that's kind of like here's the problem. You could never, the culture of Yu-Gi-Oh is so different outside of like, friendly like cube drafts and stuff. You could never get a Yu-Gi-Oh group of players to do that. So Genesis has that built in. Your card being stuck with a 100 point value is Konami being like, come on, dude. Come on. What are you doing? What are you doing right now?
Yeah, like, I mean, I exaggerate slightly, but there was one game I played against a friend who's playing their mono green Hydra deck because they love mono green. But turn 5 they had 3 16 Hydras, and I'm like, okay, well you win the game. Like we can't answer this. They're like, no, it's fine. I'm like, no, you have won the game on turn 4. What do you want us to do about this? Like, you just fight it out. Like, it's fine. I mean, jokes, but
yeah, and that's the thing, right? Like talking about like the again the Fortniteification of Magic is like, I understand that obviously like there is brand risk there, like, but also I mean, a shitload of people play Fortnite. I'm not gonna play Fortnite because I've talked about this. Fortnite's problem was that if you don't want to spend money on Fortnite, which I do not want to be spending money on Fortnite. I'd have to have started playing like 2 or 3 years before they did a cool collab I wanted to be in. But the game still has like that large appeal, casual audience thing to suck people in, and Magic I think is trying to do a similar approach where like it's still a good game. It's just that you're gonna see some interesting stuff there, and then they're gonna rotate them out, and you can just not, if your friends don't want to play Final Fantasy or Avatar: The Last Airbender, that's fine. But I think that like Master Duel's audience appeal is supposed to be a little different from the TCG and the OCG. Like you said, they have kind of like different perspectives on both. And Master Duel, occasionally, it's very rare, but occasionally they will use the fact that they are a best of 1 format to do the ban list accordingly. When everybody was playing those AI bot decks with DD Dynamite, they went, okay, DD Dynamite's at 2, you can't actually do the kill now. Stop it.
Yeah, there's a lot of belly aching here and there, and I'll agree on some fronts of where Master Duel fails at, but there definitely have been moments of us seeing like the people at Master Duel kind of have an idea what they're doing. It's always just a matter of the timing of these things. It's just comes down to just this weird mess.
Like, genuinely, I think the reason why everybody's being so critical of Master Duel right now is because, like I said, the current format is miserable. It's quote unquote tier 0 Malice. Malice never won a YCS. But it's Ryzeal Malice format, which is like very unpopular for having lots of samey decks. But it's not even like the cool Ryzeal Malice because you can't play Mitsurugi yet, and won't be until like way after Ryzeal has been fucking killed in Master Duel at this rate. Just because it's a world premiere deck, so like the OCG's only just now getting it. We might be lucky and they might do like a cool thing where they don't quite want to leave Ryzeal format yet, so maybe this like month's upcoming pack will be Mitsu something. Or maybe it won't, we never know. But it's a format that it was not super popular. Like everybody thought, oh, these decks are pretty cool, and then they actually play them and they're like, oh, this isn't that cool. But in the TCG right now, the current format is really cool.
Like, we Beliaked on Ryzeal when we reviewed them. I think Ryzeal cards are cool. The problem is Ryzeal cards are so linear.
They're a cool concept, but unfortunately, Konami gave them a whole gun full of silver bullets. Like every single Ryzeal name is like a silver bullet in the revolver chamber. So it's like, that's crazy.
And despite the fact that that can do anything, most people play the deck one way because it's the optimal way and it's boring.
Yeah.
It's the problem. It's it's like
also. I think we've realized that like
now.
Xyz if you look at like the list for Genesis they just put out, if you cut all links and all pendulums out of the game, I think Xyz monsters are the #1 extra deck type that has point values.
Yeah,
there are so many numbers and other random Xyz monsters that are on that list with some number of points.
I will say, I think come like 2-3, like a year or two from now, Ryzen will just be a fun package that people look fondly on because it's a really good package of cards that can get you a lot of different ways. Right now, as the best thing ever, it does one thing and it's boring as hell.
Yeah, and Malice is the same way. As I did it, chat. I built Malice in Master Duel. I played some ladder on it. Malice is fun in concept, but to actually play Malice is kind of boring because, like I said before, this may shock people to hear because it is a really strong deck. Malice needs more names. They probably need to limit or semi-limit some more of the cards and do the thing they used to do, which when they would hit a deck, they would reprint newer, shittier cards for that deck. Malice needs some more names. What's up?
I'll be going after you guys.
Sorry, see you, Max.
See ya.
I guess I'll give you for an hour and change.
I hope you had fun. We did at least explain Genesis format, but listen, it's a cool format to talk about in Theory Craft on, and it gets a lot of the stuff.
There is a lot of potential here, and I hope they grab onto it. That is also that is my thesis statement for Genesis. I'm interested.
You and me have a little bit of Yu-Gi-Oh talk built up, I think, because the last time you tried to be on Failed Portrayal, you exploded like 5 minutes in.
Exploded.
So
yeah,
we didn't get any of the Yu-Gi out. It's like when Dallas was sick for a while and then finally showed up to Ancient Warriors. We spent like 4 hours doing that episode because we would stop to talk about JoJo for like 30 minutes or something. Just because it's I haven't talked about
the other half. The other half of Cybers, which is cool. Like the Cyber stuff. If I was I actually, I've forgotten. Was I was here? I was trying to be here for the last Cybers episode, correct?
Yes. We didn't get all the way through all the latest Code Talker stuff, so that was last week's episode.
Yeah.
But this is Firewall, and I also have a list prepared about... I'm scrolling the wrong place to get my card list up. I got a list for Adignister as well. I'd really like Gallus to show up in the middle of that. But...
across on the Code Talkers and Cyber Skies. My statement on them, they're really cool. I do love the aesthetic of Cybers. There's just a lot of breathing room the typing actually has, despite it on like front facing just being it's just the tech art, it's just the tech typing. But they have a lot of fun with it, and I think that's strength.
Yeah, one of the things that unfortunately you did miss was in that first episode, I did kind of talk about some of the generic Cybers, actual Cyber support Cybers monsters. As funny as that is to say,
Claudia, Rom Claudia, the backup secretaries, and all that.
And that was the thing I pointed out, that they have a couple of distinct themes. Like some of them are just Hacker Man, which is, neat in its
Yeah.
own right. Yu-Gi-Oh wasn't really doing that. But then also they've got, you mentioned it, like ROM Cloudy and RAM Cloudy and shit like that. They just have weird cyber animals sometimes, and it's like, that's neat. That's neat that they did think of a like unique perspective that they can actually work with. But yeah,
they
a lot of the
do
deck, I
actually
think.
have a good. There is a really good range of designs there that it does not feel samey, and I think oh god, what's this? What's the illusion? Like illusions are just weird little guys. That's their gimmick. So there's way more you can play with that. But even within like a perceived narrow concept, they do a lot with it.
Yeah, and like there's the thing of like illusions obviously have their roots in old school Yu-Gi-Oh as opposed to Cyberse, because a lot of the early waves of illusions were either retrains or were straight up like, hey, this is a card that was in a video game once that was never ever printed, so we can just do whatever. But there was kind of some back and forth where like some people complained that like, oh, they deboned illusions, some illusion monsters don't even have the effect, and then the Hecka Hands, I'll actually say Hecka Hands. I'm not as upset about that localization, but the Hecka Hands guys are like, oh, these are giant illusion monsters that are coming up in the next deck build pack that have these rules. They're like, they do the can't be destroyed by battle thing.
Which they should, personally. I feel they should do that.
Yeah, I mean, I do kind of feel like if you're sneaking an illusion monster into like a multi-type archetype, you don't have to. But if you're doing illusion-focused archetypes, they should retain the can't be destroyed by, neither monster can be destroyed by battle thing.
I'm fine with that if we just want to splash an illusion into an archetype just for the sake of the flavor, and it doesn't actually have to be like the full illusion suite of effects. But if you're doing illusions as like, this archetype is the illusions, it should be doing the illusion thing.
All right, now I'm trying to actually pull up Firewall Dragon, but I'm getting a Cloudflare error on Wikipedia, so I must turn to Google.
Firewall, our favorite, our problematic favorite of Yu-Gi-Oh!
So,
boss monsters.
As we move off the thumbnail, which I had for a little bit of that bed talk, Firewall's back and he's bigger than ever. Something Konami actually said. MBT did not just make that up. That was Konami said it first. Konami probably needs to find better script writers for their like 30-second TV and YouTube ads. With no monsters left on the field, I summon Dark Magician and attack for game type shit. Like, okay, yeah, we all remember it, but we remember that because that's fucking dumb. You just summoned Dark Magician, bud? How? How did you do it? Did you tribute summon him? Did you special him the 9 million ways you could special him? Let me see if I can grab the alt art
If
as well.
you played Link Era when Firewall was released, this guy is like the boogeyman of your war stories.
Let me pull up his bright red card art. That makes him more look more like the Satan that he is.
If I'm remembering right, the bright red, the alternate card art is him in the anime doing the effect of bouncing everything back. But
let's pull up the errata
Firewall
page.
is famously errataed,
Yeah.
and it was one of those cards that it actually got banned, correct? It did?
Yes, yeah, they
Then was
did
it Robin?
actually ban it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They banned him first, and then they
Firewall
errated
Dragon
him later.
was a very good card. We'll discuss his effect in a moment, but I want to just get over this quick precedent that this card set. Firewall Dragon is Playmaker's ace monster in Vrains, and rarely is a iconic boss monster of a Yu-Gi-Oh! A meta warping threat. Firewall Dragon unfortunately had an ability. Its big effect allowed it to really become this essential game piece to every Link spam deck to FTK you. It was every random FTK that there was one the Dark Worm combo that is, funnily enough, both Pendulum and Link like Dark Monster Slop combo to Amazoness Archer you to death. That is the most famous FTK that like cards like Firewall and stuff
Yeah,
all got involved in.
Genesis, but I think I saw Mass Driver was 100, so I assume like Archer, Cannon Soldier, etc. are also all like 100-point cards. So like,
Pull that up real quick.
you can't. I assume you can't play you can't play a real combo deck and then also play.
Amazon Archer is not on the list.
Interesting. Did she get an Uranus she's only once per turn? I don't remember.
She might have. That sounds like she might have done it, but regardless, when this sort of was happening for a good 2 or 3 months, the entire like Yu-Gi-Oh competitive scene discourse was okay. Are they gonna ban Firewall because they can't ban Playmaker's Ace Monster? It is his big guy in the anime. He summons it every duel to win. Like
and it has the like iconic
of that.
It has the iconic
right?
Ace Monster stats. Yeah, it's got 2,500 attack. Like it requires a little setup to go. It usually wins a game. Like if you're ever watching, if they ever make a brand new normal Yu-Gi-Oh anime, if you ever want to figure out who the rival is and who the protagonist is, who's the guy who ends every game with a 2,500 attack monster with a cool effect, and then who's the guy who's got that 3K big ass monster? Yes, usually a dragon.
It's either a dragon or a spellcaster. That's kind of like sometimes a warrior.
Unless you're Jaden Yuki, in which case you have the spandex-clad boy himself. But also, Jaden didn't get Neos until what, season 2?
Yeah, Neos is fairly late. Like I wouldn't say late in the game, but Neos he has just pure elemental heroes for a while.
Originally, he pitches Flame Wingman as his ace, which is like works, but also it really goes to show that they did scale back the power in GX, you know, and then they were just like, nah, Neos.
But yeah, there was a constant discussion of there's no way they actually banned this guy, right? Because you can't ban Dark Magician. Essentially, was everyone's like thought process. So what they did was they just made more Code Talkers until Playmaker had enough Code Talkers that they were his iconic monster, and then banned Firewall.
Yeah, basically, I think in the equivalent in the anime is eventually that basically he acquires access code
right?
talker, you know, and a ritual. Yeah, there's ritual plays. There are some alternate firewalls that I think actually were in the show.
He does end up just getting enough boss monsters that Firewall kind of stops mattering.
Yeah, and you can just like access code is like the big final monster of the series. Which is another one that people thought about. We talked about access code last week, and it was like, yeah, that guy sucked for like a couple of years. Another advantage of Genesis format: if you're scared of access code talker, no more access code talker OTKs. Can't be done. No links.
Yippee.
But Firewall Dragon is like, yeah, that problem, and it like you said, it set the tone for how Konami approached links, because oftentimes it felt like Konami didn't want to, whether it was for like coverage or just because the links were newer and they were the more push mechanic, didn't want to seem to hit the big iconic link monsters. This continued even after they actually banned Firewall Dragon. Remember it
was like
6 to 12 months of fucking, here's what we do, we're gonna ban all the tuna. Like, how many tuners were killed for Halki Fibrax's sins?
We don't want to ban Hulk, so we'll just keep banning tuners, because eventually they'll stop finding good tutors that just make free bodies, right? Clear,
and this is why this is one of the reasons I think why in Genesis they're just like, yeah, we're just gonna remove the EMZ because that gets rid of link monsters. Because like they learned their lesson. They can't do that. They cannot. You cannot give the people at home a broken Link 2 and then just ban enablers. They will play the most dog-ass, useless old cards just so they can get a Hulk activation. Like, it's like the classic question of how down bad are Yu-Gi-Oh players for a draw 2? So down bad.
Yes.
We will pay the most
answer is
awful
yes.
cost in the world to draw 2 cards. And then I think Konami has realized that it's not even worth it. Fucking Pot of Green's 30 points in that format. It's crazy. But yeah, so like Firewall unfortunately set a precedent. So he is unfortunately a poster child, a signposting of a form of Yu-Gi-Oh! People were not very happy with, which is a shame because he is a pretty cool dragon.
Aesthetically, he looks fucking rad.
I feel like the designer for Firewall took everybody's criticisms about the Dimension Dragons from Arc 5 and was like, okay, we got this. No more weird arcs, circles and half circles. He's got like one Konami orb in his chest where you would put an orb.
And yeah, like he's got circles on his design, but they're not orbs. Like it's circles. Like he is angular where it makes sense. Like,
and
it's
another thing
like
I want to shout out,
Dragon
it's a pity that we did not get here
around.
before Axe left, but I will say, because I know he skims the VODs, he'd bring this up. Firewall Dragon looks kind of like a model kit. He's got screws on his body. His wings are jointed like they're an articulated model. Like, this guy looks like a posable guy you could stick on your shelf, which makes him really marketable. His feet are not fucked up, chat. They're like dragon feet. I mean, they've got like rings on them, but like that's okay.
Yeah, like
we can work with that.
The worst part of the design, I would say, are the nebulous rings on the limbs, but I wouldn't even say it's not even like they're bad. They're just kind of like, oh, that's just like a nice little bit you put on him. Neat. Okay.
Yeah. He's got the lines. That looks really good. You know, he's stanced up. He's you know, like this is a guy where I could show this to people. Like if I had the reach, if I had the contacts to start doing, you know, people who play other card games, Yu-Gi-Oh cards videos, I could show people Firewall Dragon, and they would probably go, "Oh, that's a Yu-Gi-Oh card. That's the, you know, computer dragon. That's the GPU dragon."
It's big guy. It's big guy dragon.
Yeah, like this guy looks like a Yu-Gi-Oh dragon, and that's good. That's got brand identity. This is part of why I think that he was so problematic, like you said, because it's like, this guy's really good at branding. Like, he's clearly identifiable. He makes sense. You can see he's got the little link things in the alt art.
Like very clearly designed to be the poster child of this new new era, and then they made him too good.
Made him crazy good. Indeed, thank you, Spirit Online.
So what his actual effect does?
Yeah, we talked a little around his stats. So we should say he is a Light Cyberse Link 4, who requires originally, just 2+ monsters. So he is completely generic. And has 2,500 attack. Is his original stat line. Oh, and he's got, you know, front, back, left, right arrows. Big plus sign. Oh, excuse me. Clear my throat.
Yeah, I honestly do not remember the exact wording of his effect, but
I got the pre and post errata pulled up.
Okay, yeah.
So the original effect is once while face up on the field, quick effect. You can target monsters on the field and or graveyard up to the number of monsters co-linked to this card. Return them to the hand. If a monster this card points to is destroyed by battle or sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one monster from your hand. Chat, what's wrong here? What's wrong with this picture?
I love free bodies. I love bouncing back all of my non-once per turn effects and doing them again.
Yes, this is literally the Drake and Josh meme. Where's the once per turn? The first effect is once while face up on the field, but that's not a once per turn. You just put Firewall back, you can do it again. Make a second Firewall. Who cares? And
yeah,
it's
just
like, no.
You guys fucked it. You fucked it real bad.
And you can see how they fucked it when you see the errata text, which is much cleaner. And I believe they wrote it specifically so that it did not contradict with anything that actually happened in the show, which is, once I'll face up on the field, quick effect, you know, blah, 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 all that stuff is fine. If the monster this card points to is destroyed by battle or sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one Cyberse monster from your hand. And they added the text, you can only use each effect of Firewall Dragon once per turn. So they added a hard once, a hopped on both effects.
Forever free advantage is bad, Konami. Please, like, the Link era was Konami being hit over the head with a sledgehammer with this point for like every other week.
Basically,
in this
Konami
format.
Konami finally invented a payoff to true infinite advantage with Link monsters because, like, with synchros and with Xyz, you had to, like, make math work, you know? You had to match levels to make ranks, or you had to make the math work out, you know? You had to have tuners involved for synchros. Fusion monsters needed fusion spells usually, or some other kind of fusion effect. Link's... many of the early Links that were good anyway were very generic. So you have this problem where it's like, okay, so like I can just do anything. If I just get 4 guys on the field, I can make Firewall Dragon, and then I can bounce all my guys back, and then I can just put 4 guys on the field, and then I can just make Firewall Dragon. It's like it's why Appo got banned in TCG, which is just like any deck that shits out 4 guys makes a format Appo, and you're just like, cool, great, I can't do anything. There's 4 negates there. And it's just, it was like you said, they got beat over the head with it, and they finally learned their lesson, I think, eventually. Like, I think modern game design finally cottoned onto the idea of, like, hey, wait a minute. You can't have infinite material with unlimited payoff. There has to be a bottleneck somewhere. Otherwise, the game goes on forever.
Yeah.
Or in Firewall's case, goes on until you assemble the FTK and your opponent dies and they can't do anything.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter at that point. At that point, I've won.
So yes, obviously the eroded Firewall is much weaker with a double hopped. You're only ever getting 1 special summon out of him. You can only ever get 1 bounce. It's still pretty good. Like, I think when he came back eroded, people tried to make him work. He has his room in the Firewall deck, and they've tried to make Firewall stand a little bit more on its own. But they also haven't done a great job of that.
When he came back, he was by no means even bad. Like, he was still a good card. He was just immediately keyholed into the but like we wanted you to play this in like a Cybers deck, and that's what it was played in.
Yeah,
not just in every single FTK Infinite Advantage deck.
And there were, I believe, when he got eroded, several decks that he did slot into. Like, that probably would have been around the time of, like...
like Dark FTK was like the big one. Dark FTK was the big one, but there really were, like, 20 variations of that exact same deck that just didn't use the Pendulum engine. It was just everywhere. You could not miss it. It was always a part of the problem.
Yeah, so the end result was that he did go to jail. He served his time. He's been reformed. We fixed him. We gave him 2 hard onces, and now he's not a problem. And in fact, is arguably probably one of the weaker extenders in this deck setup now, which is funny to say.
Yeah.
But they made some pretty good Firewall Dragons later, chat. There is some main deck support for this. I think I've got them all just kind of arranged regardless of, like, when they were printed. So some of these will be, like, after Firewall was banned, and some of these will be, before. The first one I've pulled up is Firewall Defensor. Firewall cannot truly be called an archetype. Actually, no, you can. This says special summon from deck. So they are technically in what we would call, a theme, an archetype. They have a name check. I don't think there's enough Firewalls to make a consistent Firewall-only deck. You still have to play a smattering of just Cybers slop. Cybers is, unfortunately, much like Pendulum, very... As much as Cybers has cool interactions and does have archetypal decks, some of which have been very strong. Looking at you, Math Mech. Cybers itself lended itself to the sloppiness.
Yeah, it's also we have an archetype here, and more like in the Performapal Odd Eyes deck of... there are just, like, a bunch of names that just cross over here. That it just happens to do it like a slop deck. It slots into the Cyber slop the same way Performapal Odd Eyes, and like Magicians all slot into this cohesive mesh of slop from the Arc 5 era.
And I gotta say, it's really funny because, like, talking about before, this reminds me of, not to go back too much and dig on that because we're past that topic, but, people, I do know some content creators like MBT and some others say that, like, oh, there's still, useless dog shit pack filler in core sets these days. A little bit, yeah, but a lot of those are, like, imported promos and stuff, many of which are based on, like, anime, manga, etc. That's why they're bad. I've done prog. I've pulled old school packs. Oh my god, there is so much useless anime filler from, like, arguably, I feel like with the GX era, it's like almost like more that just GX was just low power in general. But 5D's Zexal and Arc 5, so many anime cards just had to get printed, and they're just so situational, just bullshit. Modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Doesn't really do that anymore. Even cards that are lower power, unless they are a like promo that's a specific reference, most of them at least do something. And it just I think honestly, again, maybe this was a conscious decision by Konami. Maybe their plan was with Vrains to be like, okay, we print too many useless anime only cards that don't do anything when they get printed, so nobody likes them. What if we just invent a whole new thing for the anime and they're just good? And then they realized their problem. They printed too many of them that are good.
The cards were too good.
Which is the other, like, classifier. I'm sure they sold a lot of sets for a while, but... So I mean, Firewall Defensor is here. He's a little baby fighter. A little baby Firewall.
Like, I'm still mad we didn't get it in, like properly in the TCG, but the Link Vrains pack, both variations... We're designed for the sense of, okay, we're just going to make a bunch of cards for everybody to play. Like, we are just trying to make a Link monster that makes every random little generic deck that people liked playable in this new format.
Yeah. And I we've talked about it before, because every time we have to talk about there have been, I should say, and possibly will be in the future as we continue to talk about archetypes. There was often a segment in a failed portrayal which was like, all right, it's time for your Link Vrains pack. Here's your bullshit Link 2. You know, we talked about ISOL, we talked about Noble Knights. We haven't talked about Cristrons yet, but we will have to talk about Hulk if we do that episode, which would probably be pretty relevant. Crystron's actually a fairly good deck right now, without Hulk, because they printed Hulk 2. But it's like one of those things of just like, just the way people are, like, Konami tried really hard to make the Vrains pack work. They made a lot of those links generic, or at least only type locked. They made them like Link 2s to make them accessible. They wanted to make it so that people didn't feel boxed out of playing their favorite pet deck just because they wanted to summon 2 extra deck monsters but couldn't because links. So
which I do feel is a really good standpoint of design space of, okay, like now that we have set up the baseline for this mechanic, like, we do realize that us doing this has just killed a ton of random decks. So let's give them a piece. The problem is when you give them a piece like a Heavenly Spheres, or Crystal Talk to Fibrax, or in a lesser sense, Gem Knight Transverser, like stuff like that, where it's just like, okay, you designed all these cool cards, but them being totally generic was the problem.
Yeah, they did not specify archetype cards, and I think they did it correctly because, like, the thing is that, like, if you think about it, like, archetype locked links were kind of rare for a while. Like, eventually Konami was just like, oh shit, oh fuck, we gotta stop printing links that just say 2+ monsters. We gotta stop doing that. Oh my god, do you see what they're doing? You know, it's just like you look outside the window and the city is on fire because of Firewall Dragon. Like, they realized their mistake of truly generic Link monsters. That's why you see so many Link monsters from lots of eras being, you know, either effect monsters or 2+ monsters, except tokens. You know, they learned their lesson, but for a while their design philosophy was not that, so they probably thought being like, oh, 2+ monsters including a tuner? That's fine. Why would you play that in some deck that's not going to be focused on synchro tuners, like Crystron? Yeah. And then we eventually went, Konami, do you understand what synchro tuners are? And they're just like, oh no.
Like, Konami, you do understand that, like, even in the Pendulum era, you were like in the Xyz era still, you were already designing tuners that gave free bodies. They just locked you into synchro summoning because you felt that was a good, like they locked you from like not Xyz summoning. Some of the cards like did not state you could only synchro summon. It just said, well, you can summon this guy, but if you synchro summon, yeah, like can't be used for Xyz summon. Then they had to start doing Link summon.
Like the other classic, like Link 2 that is problematic, I think, after Hulk. Actually, no. Verte is also terrible, but that was just, I don't know what Konami was thinking. They're just like, That I feel like they made Verte, even though it was a Predaplant, to just be for every single fusion archetype. Because it's just it was literally just 2 effect monster, which okay guys, but problem. Do you understand what you printed on cards on spell cards that include the word fusion on them? Do you know what you've done to make fusions good, Konami?
Have you read the fusion wave motion?
No, the honest thing is hey Konami, you understand that only 2 years ago you printed Shadow Fusion and then you made every fusion card a Shadow Fusion?
Yeah.
And they're just yeah, well, you don't have good targets. And then they were you just show them DPE, Dark Dragoon, shit like that, Winda being unbanned, and they're just oh no. I feel like that's Konami's reaction is just what's the worst that could happen? And then you show them the things that players will do. It's Isold, right? Was the other one I was going to bring up. It's guys, Konami, what the fuck is wrong with you? You printed a semi-generic Link 2 that's just Rhoda? Her on-summon effect is just add a warrior? You know that card's limited, right, Konami?
Another anecdote I bring up all the time. Remember when the TCG, when pro players in the TCG showed the OCG? Hey guys, there's a handle you can do with windups. They showed you the OCG. Why would people do that? Why would we don't need to ban anything? No one would do this. Guys, everyone's doing it right now in the TCG.
It's fine. We don't need to do it.
They could not comprehend it as a game warping issue. I don't know why.
Honestly, I think the OCG TCG split was inevitable, and I think we will never reach a recombined format unless we genuinely, I don't think people buy enough Konami product for them to do that. They would have to do so much overhaul of their fucking logistics to print cards in Japanese, English, I think at least half a dozen European languages, Korean and simplified Chinese. Konami supports a lot of languages, chat. To get all that shit printed on time, and distributed to all those regions of the world. I know that several players in South and Latin America, South and Central, are quitting because product there is really expensive and gets delayed often, and it fucks with the meta. The TCG and OCG can't come together for that reason. But part of the split was there was also the risk. Mr. Gage Nim Nim put out a YouTube video. Shocking, I know, but he had the Wonky Quartet on to actually play retro OCG formats. 1103 is apparently a very popular OCG format, referring to a specific date of a ban list. And they talked about this a little. That was roughly the equivalent of Edison, but because of the way that the OCG was, they didn't have cards like Maxi or Tour Guide yet. So the format's completely different. Because those were both world premieres. Those hit here first and then went to the OCG. And that brings up another point that they talked about in this video that I thought really stuck with me, which is yeah, shit, if the ban list hadn't split around that time, what the fuck would you do about cards like Tour Guide? If you get a card like Tour Guide that's really, really strong, but the OCG doesn't have it yet, are you gonna hit that card? How does that work? The best you could hope for is the Master Duel, okay, this card's coming out, we are announcing, it will be Limit 2 immediately. But, that means that the TCG would have to deal with...
They have done...
Yes.
I think it has happened, once in the TCG, OCG. Very rarely. It has happened a handful of times. But it's even happened in Master Duel. With the... Adventure was the first one that got that treatment, right?
I believe so, was the first one they released new, and we're okay, these cards are this pack is coming out, semied. And honestly, these days, they do that preemptively for almost every meta deck. I think both Malice and Ryzeal were okay, a couple of your key cards are going to start at 2. We were announcing it ahead of time, so you can't get free dust. But yeah, the whole ban list scenario is really funny. But this was a really long tangent to go on to basically be Cyberse is kind of a classic schlop deck. And so Firewall cards are not really making a cohesive archetype. They do name check them. Firewall Defensor, in fact, does. But he also came out in 2023, so... I think I mentioned it before. Not much to say about his design here. Firewall Defensor is just a baby Firewall. There's a couple of baby Firewalls.
Solid. He's good.
He looks all right. You can tell he's Firewall adjacent without him being just literally Firewall Dragon. This is a Dark Cyberse level 4 with 1200 attack and 1500 defense. This is a main deck monster. If this card is sent to the graveyard as material for the link summon of a Cybers monster. You can special summon one Firewall monster from your deck, except Firewall Defensor. You can't special summon the turn you activate this effect, except Cybers monsters. So already, like, learning from our mistakes here.
Thank you.
Yeah, they learned their lesson. You do get to special a archetype guy from deck, but it can't be another copy of him, and you are Cybers locked. If a Firewall monsters you control will be destroyed by a card effect, banish this card from your graveyard instead. Use each effect once per turn. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised I hadn't heard of this guy before building this list. This is
looking at the timeline,
good archetype card.
It came out 2023, Cyberstorm Access, so it could have been like way too far past being like there being space to mess with the Cyber slop formula.
Let me actually see what else was inside.
Tried and tested, but just didn't move the needle.
Ah, no, I see. Yes, nobody was interested in this. Vesper, would you like a reminder of what was coming out in Cyberstorm Access?
Oh, let me just open the page and read.
Well, it'll be right at the top. You'll see it. You'll see it right away. What people were doing.
Introduces Monadium. Oh.
Yeah, I know. But if you look at the card list, serial number 003 is where it starts.
Super heavy. My time.
Yeah, so, I think nobody was interested in trying, like, generic cyber stuff because the world's greatest advantage engine came out. Wakaushi was in the set.
Super heavy. I fucking love Super Heavy Samurai. I don't care.
Honestly,
the problem.
Big Benkei is like you fucking dunked on us so many times in casual matches with Big Benkei. He's not really that much of a problem. It's just that Wakaushi is just a true advantage machine that can't be stopped. And similarly, like the cards that actually came out in this was like new super heavy stuff. Monadium obviously got dropped. Per Lily, so the second Pearly. So, like, I think the main thing is just that, like, they did do some new generic cyber stuff, but mostly that's slotted into the stuff that already existed. This would be, after Circular already came out, I believe.
Yeah, it was way too far past its prime of, like it reached like a good card for the time Firewall Dragon came out, which Firewall Dragon was God. I'm going to look at this and feel old. 2017, yeah.
Yeah,
8 years ago, just a casual 8 years ago.
Yeah, so it's that case of like I said, I read Firewall Defensor and I'm like, oh shit, this is a good archetype card. Guess what? Firewall's not an archetype, and when it came out, Firewall wasn't made. They didn't put enough Firewall cards in Syac to make it an archetype. So
yeah, because like I'm looking at the Firewall cards. I know for a fact like 3 or 4, like 5 of these guys are extra deck monsters. So there's only like 4 or 5 actual main deck names.
Yeah, I think there's for comparison, for main deck names that are for Defensor's purposes that are Firewall monsters, it's just 2. I think there's just Guardian and Phantom, who I will be grabbing shortly, I think. But like, and there is another main deck monster that's kind of a support. There is Proxy Horse, which is like Proxy Dragon, but he doesn't have Firewall in his name, so now you're playing, unsearchable bricks type shit. Let's grab... Yeah, this is Firewall Guardian, who I believe came out in the same set as Defensor. No, it was Phantom, so Guardian came first. But Firewall Guardian's art is... I'm pretty sure he came first, but...
Firewall Guardian is 2019, yeah.
Yeah, Dark Neostorm, yeah. So, basically... Firewall Defensor is just Firewall Guardian 2, but they look similar. That's okay. They're little firewalls. He's blue, instead of red. Let's see. Dark Cyber, level 4, 100 attack, 200 defense. This card's sent to the graveyard for a link summon of a Cybers monster. You can special summon it, but banish it when it leaves the field. Pretty decent one. If attack is occurred involving your Link monster, your opponent's Link monster, you can banish this card from your graveyard, negate the attack you do until the end of turn. The original attack of that opponent's monster becomes 0. It's unaffected by other card effects except its own.
Free body, cheeky battle trick. He's okay. I'm not gonna move the needle, but like it's effects you read that are like, yeah, this makes sense.
I mean, you know,
this all works on a card.
If paired with Defensor, right? This is a decent card to fetch with Defensor. You send Defensor, Defensor fetches Guardian from deck. You link off Guardian, Guardian immediately brings himself back. So like you've got a link climb into like at least like a 4 or 5 there. The problem is that he does have a very balanced effect, which is, hey, after you link climb with this guy, he's banished. Get fucked. Which can hurt his graveyard effect.
Yeah, he's got 2 effects, but the effects do work against each other, unfortunately.
Yeah, so really limiting your plays there, basically. So
honestly, like this may sound rude. I don't know. I feel the worst thing we can say about archetypes, especially circa this more modern era, is that it does its job. Unfortunately, that is an insult to archetypes because of the power level of Yu-Gi-Oh.
It's kind of like it's something I've talked about before about like video games. Like I am critical. I'm one of those people who's a little critical of the fact that there is this thing in like video game ratings where like you say it's a 10-point scale, but it's a 5-point scale. That you don't even use all 5 points of. But also, I do genuinely think that except for like Steam, you know, literal slop, like get rich quick schemes, very few games these days are actually going to be like a 2 or 3 out of 10. Yu-Gi-Oh's kind of the same way. We've just advanced the state so much that like you can get a 5 out of 10 archetype that is technically perfectly average right in the middle of the graph, and that's going to be worse than 49% of the other archetypes you can play, basically. Which is sad, but true.
I'm going to compare to something maybe bizarre to sound like, but like, take a look at something like modern wrestling at this point. Like, you compare modern wrestling to shit from, like, the 80s, 90s, like boom of wrestling. It's a completely different genre of medium that, like, the work you will see just horrible, disgusting, like awful matches that just make you don't feel anything. But the average match nowadays is going to be like probably a 3-star match, so to speak, out of 5. Like the average match now is just that solidly produced that from a competent standpoint, it's gonna just feel like a solid match, and that's how they are.
Yeah,
but you're still gonna get those like banger matches. Oh, then this fucking looks rad too. Jesus Christ, this looks awesome.
Yeah, this is Firewall Phantom. He's purple. He looks cool.
Oh my god.
Unfortunately,
this is the main deck?
Sorry, a bug flew to my mouth. Don't know what he was thinking. Yeah, no, this is a main deck. This guy's level 5.
That looks rad.
Yeah. This is a level 5 Dark Cybers, 2,000 attack, 1,300 defense. So obviously you're supposed to fetch this with Defensor.
Fetch him with Defensor. Since the graveyard's material for the link summon of a Cyberse monster, add a Sign Net spell or trap card from your deck to your hand, then discard 1 card. You can banish this card from your graveyard. During your end phase of this turn, shuffle 1 Cyberse monster from your graveyard into the deck, only each effect once per turn. And this is, I would say, this is a version that works because it's 2 effects that do not work against each other.
Yeah, you technically go +0 because, you know, when he sent, you get to add 1, then discard a card. Though, obviously, again, if you're playing a Firewall deck, you could, you know, use that to, I don't know, discard a Guardian, you know, so you can use its graveyard effect for Battle Trickery or something. Yeah.
Discard fodder is sometimes just a thing you need in decks like in these deck typing.
Yeah, there's 9 million Cyberse monsters that you can fetch out of the graveyard for something.
Actually, wait.
But Signet is we've talked about most of the Signet spells. There's like 1 Signet trap that is exactly about Firewall Dragon that's in this list. Most of these are just, again, Cyberse good stuff cards. You have both a fusion and a ritual spell there. Yeah, Signet Mining is your searcher. There's not recovery. Which one is it? There's like a reborn Signet, you know, that you can just reborn stuff.
Is it refresh? Nope.
There's Codec is a huge advantage machine if you're playing Code Talker specifically.
Oh yeah, no, like the Signet suite of cards, they have wide spanning effects, but there are really, really good ones in there that you'll probably just want to grab.
There's technically 2 field spells. There's Signet Storm and Signet Universe. Which honestly, Signet Storm, not a bad field spell to search. All linked monsters gain 500 attack and defense, and link summons of link monsters can't be negated. Just no, you cannot solemn my Firewall Dragon, Mister.
Get away from me! Stop it!
Like there's room in there for all those things. So having a semi-generic searcher is not bad. And it does. I mean, it's during the end phase, so it's a little, for 2023 especially, a little slow.
It's slow, which sucks.
But, in a different format, this is just giving me a reminder that I'm kind of like, it is kind of a shame that you can't play Lynx in Genesis. Like, this is the kind of thing that would love a lower-powered format. To actually get some funny cleverness in there.
This works in a cube. I think we could do a really fun cube with these kinds of guys, honestly.
Yeah, with some of these sorts of Cyberse boys. Yeah, and I can always refresh the whatchamacallit, the Psychic Machine Cyberse Tri-Type one. The Psychic Processor is also still such a fucking fun cube card. That guy was so rad.
There are some really cool, there are some just despite us criticizing this, there's nothing bad with these cards, and there is a place for them in deck building. The downside is that there just aren't enough of them. That's the real problem.
Yeah, I think that's the thing I said. I realized this looking at what cards are in Cyberstorm Access. They tried to, refresh Firewall Dragon. They literally said, the quote that's the title of this stream, Firewall's back and he's bigger than ever. They used that as an ad pull. But he's not actually back. You just made a Link 5 of him and didn't give him enough support that wasn't just more generic cyber stuff to be used in more cohesive cyber strategies. And that, I think, is a problem that Konami has sometimes. I think it is one of the problems that Pendulum has, for instance, which is, you already have all the generic Pendulum cards you could ever need, so you can't print more generic Pendulum cards because they don't do anything. You already have all the pieces you need. You can do whatever you want with a Pendulum strategy.
Yeah,
so
the only thing you get out of printing a new Pendulum card is the potential of it being better than something else. If it's not going to get looked at.
So yeah, it gets to a really weird case. So these cards are good, but Konami didn't seriously try and make them enough of an archetype to actually do anything. I do appreciate that all of these sorts of cards, including our next one, with the exception of Phantom. Phantom is a 5, but Proxy Horse, Guardian, and Defensor are all 4s. This is a Proxy Horse, by the way. It's what if Firewall Dragon was a horse. I don't really get it, but it looks fine.
Yeah, it looks decent.
But they're all 4s, which is good, because, hey, the Xyz version of Firewall Dragon is a 4. He's rank 4. So, they're trying to give you the setup, but it just lacks that little bit of special sauce. So, Proxy Horse is a light Cyberse level 4, 11/11. If this card you control be used as link material for a Cyberse monster, you can use a Cyberse in your hand as material. During your end phase, you can banish the card from your graveyard, target 2 link monsters from your graveyard, including a Cyberse link, return them. You can use each effect once per turn. And Proxy Horse is obviously, again, another much... Oh, he's not that much older. He was a Ghost from the Past second Haunting card. So this was probably a weird promo or something. Let me see what set this was in Japanese. This is a V-Jump promo. Okay, yeah.
Makes sense.
God, this is a V-Jump promo in 2020. No wonder they didn't release this guy until 2022. This was a V-Jump promo in 2020. And Konami of America looked at this guy and went, no. We can't sell that.
We're fine.
We're good. We'll figure it out later. But yeah, it's another case of again, it's neat, but will it do anything? Certainly not in 2022.
We're making interesting sounding cards, but doing nothing with, we're doing interesting things, but nothing that is moving a needle. That feels like it's breaking the mold. Because, God, again, compare this to 20. Sure, this card is older, but compare the rest of the random Firewall support happening, this Super Heavy Samurai. God, what was I don't even remember everything before that, but there's so many decks
You got
that-
like
that-
7 new super heavy names in that set. The only one I think people remember really well is Wakaushi, but there, like, if you wanted to just play super heavies, there was a whole shitload of stuff for you to work with. There was yet another wave of like whatchamacallits. Like this was still in the middle of Bestial stuff, so like, you know, they got Bestial Aluber, they got the second it was Ran Aegorine, you know, the big tuna. Let's see what else was in here. Sanctifier came out in this set. Albion the Sanctifier Dragon, one of those big guys. Lots of Vanadiums. Nemleria is a very fun, you know, support. This is where they released the time-tearing Morganite. You know? Reinforced, Dinomorphia stuff. First wave of Gold Pride.
Yeah, shit, like, there's... Yeah, like, I mean, even though Gold Pride wasn't doing much at release, everyone was interested in what the cards said. Everyone was intrigued by what, like, trying to make something work with. And
it turned out that their best thing was to splash them in with Punk as an engine, because it let you set up the life point thing. But that's okay. You can wombo combo decks together. We've been doing it for years, you know. And I think kind of the same way. Like, I think Punk was really looking for another engine to pair it with because they were good, but they kind of just only generated an X number of like free bodies at a certain level range for psychics, and it's like, it's good.
Yeah, Punk and Gold Pride, like there were two halves of a whole, and like it was always trying to find like their second half, and could do it a lot of different ways, but they ended up playing best together. Is this a Neo Hertz or Dark Fluid?
Actually, I think that was Tempest Terahertz. Let me see. This should be the original Dark Fluid. Google lied to me slightly. This is the original card art of Firewall Dragon Dark Fluid. Which is just Firewall Dragon if he's more buff. Yeah, the green's weird. I get what they're going for with the purple behind him. I also got to say, I don't think it's intentionally this way, but he has both purple lightning and purple dots, and sometimes the lightning crosses over the dots, and it makes it look a little bit like he's got purple sperm behind him. Not a great look, Konami.
No, I didn't see that until you said it, and now I can't stop seeing it.
I'm sorry, but it's just the thing that caught my eye. I like saw it in my corner. Like,
it's unfortunate. This is unfortunate visual design happening.
Yeah.
It's nowhere near as offensive as, again, the late stages of the Pendulum Dragons, but we're like, oh, we've gone a bit too much, lads. Let's fucking pull it back.
This is like,
reel it in.
This guy is, you know, the previous Firewall Dragon's a Link 4. This guy's a Link 5. So it's like, okay, you didn't have to go this extra level. Like, the tail is like super thick and long now. He's got a giant back ring thing like an Arc 5 Dimension Dragon. He also has floating Link Arrow diamonds. It's just a little like, okay, all right. His Halo thing is spiky for some reason.
Every singular aspect I do not dislike. It's everything all together. I'm like, oh yeah, no, you've put too much in this. It's too much happened.
Yeah.
So palettes like green, white, red, yellow.
Yeah.
White, blue. Too many colors. Too many colors.
Yeah, no. Color theory's bad. At least they only gave him, like, I think technically 2 orbs, because the ring that are his wings now has 2 ball joints, I think. But I think this one was originally designed as like because I see the appearances tab is red, so I think this means this didn't make it to the anime. This was printed in late 2019 in Chaos Impact. This feels like this was Konami's first crack at like, okay, Firewall Dragon is kill, but what if we made bigger Firewall?
What if we did Firewall 2?
So this is a Dark Cyberse Link 5, 3,000 attack. Little expensive for a Link 5. 3+ effect monsters. They've learned their lesson. It says effect monsters. If this card is Link summoned, place counters on it equal to the number of different types of Cyberse monsters in your graveyard. Ritual, Fusion, Synchro, Xyz. This card gains 2,500 attack for each counter on it during the battle phase only. When your opponent activates a monster effect, quick effect, remove a counter from this card, negate it. If this effect was activated between this card's attack declaration and the end of damage step, the card can make a second attack in a row. That's really cute, by the way. I like that.
Very cute.
Quick effect negation that if your opponent tries to bamboozle you in the damage step, you're just like, no. Also, fuck you.
It's a very fun little to put onto it. Effect-wise, I don't dislike him. I think he's just always just a weird.
The problem is that
actual
this guy's just a little too big in terms of materials. He's a 3+, you need at least 5 total link value, and he wants you to put a lot of non-link guys in the graveyard, which means you're not actually supposed to be like link climbing into this guy. So he's a little bit of a pain in the ass to make for what is basically budget Appaloosa, and I'm pretty sure Appaloosa either came out the same year.
Because this does feel really well built around like the way Playmaker Spec actually comes together. So I mean,
like I said, the appearances tab is red. I don't know. It could be the thing of like this was like the upgrade Konami planned for Firewall in Reigns, but had to switch plans because they had to ban Firewall. You know, like I could see this being the like this could have been access code for its time, and then they were just like, oh shit, fuck, we fucked up.
This
We gotta
definitely
change.
feels like it was made to be in the anime. Like, this is weird. Because, like, this feels designed around, like, the anime stylings of, well, Playmaker's getting all the different summoning types as he's going along, so he's going to have this big final boss that incorporates that style of his play. And he'll even have this, like, negation on attack to where, oh, but then I get to attack again.
Yeah.
Like, this feels tailor-made for an anime gotcha moment. Well, how is it not in the anime?
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it seems kind of like it's out there. Oh no, I see an anime still of Dark Fluid, so it must have shown in the anime somewhere.
Okay.
It's just maybe the wiki's not updated. Yeah, so the wiki just doesn't have the data for when it appeared, but it did appear in the anime. I see the stills. Okay.
Oh, there's an anime version that shows up in a handful of episodes. Yeah.
Okay.
102, 104, 119, and 120. I think that's like that's definitely the back end of the. Yeah, that's
also,
the back
I will
end
say,
of the series.
pretty solid name. Dark Fluid in this case, I think the wiki's got it, that it's referencing a physics theory that instead of there being dark matter and dark energy, they're calling it dark fluid. There's a thing that does energy stuff and matter stuff. Unproven, obviously, because the whole reason why they call it dark matter or dark energy is because we can't fucking see it. We know it's there because it's doing shit with, like, gravity and the rate of expansion of the universe, but we haven't figured it out yet. So, like, that's cool. But like, this is my Firewall dragon, dark fluid. He's weird and mysterious. And so apparently, the other version of this is the signature attack version. So in the anime, Firewall Dragon Dark Fluid's attack is Neo Tempest Terahertz, or just Neo Tempest.
I do dig that.
So this is in fact him, Neo Tempest Terahertz. I gotta say, for being literally just Dark Fluid again, this is better. I feel like he's posed a little differently, so his armor isn't there, and yeah, he's even out his color scheme.
Like, his color scheme has I've now understood why he has a billion colors in his palette. It's because he's I assume he's a representation of all the Ignis. That's why he's so busy. Still looks nasty. This though, where we're just showing the color manifest, I'm like, oh, this. Like the color refraction outside his design, I'm fine with. I like it. I don't need every color on him at the same time.
Yeah, no. Turning it into a rainbow sheen with doing the kind of like red alert color works better.
Yeah.
So this has all the same stats and like arrows as Dark Fluid. It's their attempt though to make him a little different. And again, this was what, like a Yeah, this is released for History
2020.
Archive Collection, so this is like it was a released in Maze of Memories for us, but it's like, it was an anniversary thing in the OCG, so it makes sense that this is like the cool version. But they tried to clean him up a little. 3+ Cyberse monsters. So, leaving it out. Negate any monster effects activated by your opponent during the battle phase. So it still has the battle phase negation. It's just now, fuck you, battle phase only.
We're just saying no. Do not. You don't get to interact. Quick effect.
Quick effect, send one Cyberse from your deck or extra deck to the graveyard. If you do, this card gains the attribute of that monster sent to the graveyard, and also it gains 2,500 attack. You can use this effect once per turn. This card can attack a number of monsters in a row into the battle phase, up to the number of different attributes it has. This is really cool.
I dig that. That is really cool. Like,
that's something that I don't think Yu-Gi-Oh does enough with just the idea that, like, we have a couple cards that can possess multiple attributes, or stack them. Neo Tempest Terahertz actually permanently gains the attributes, not is treated as both there. It's like, no, it gains the attribute. It's got multiples. This guy showed up, I think, briefly in some Cyberse lists when he actually came out in 23.
I think so, yeah. He definitely sounds
because
like
this
sound geek.
This is basically like Cyberse link climbing's equivalent of like, I mean, they already had Access Code Talker, but if you didn't want to do the brew that makes Access Code Talker attack twice, right? This is like your equivalent of doing like an Ancient Gears type thing, or the Tenpai stuff. It's just like, all right, battle phase, you can't fuck with me. You can't do it. Your monsters can't do anything.
I would say the worst problem is the fact that it's still a Link 5 versus a Link 4, so the access code line is always going to feel simpler for most people. But this card, like the fact that the fact that it moved the needle regardless, I think is worth mention, because this guy fucking rocks.
Yeah, no, it's a pretty cool one. Like I said, I don't think it did a lot, but you definitely saw it in a few decks because it was just like, it kind of became your overextension card of just like, well, if I can get to 3+ Cyberse monsters, I could make Neo Tempest Terahertz.
It's like how there was an era pre-Link format, like pre-Pendulum Link era, where it was just like, no, like some people's game plan is to just summon as many Quasar as like shooting Quasar dragons as possible, because that's a negate. Like that is just a spot negate on like a 5k guy that can attack 2 to 3 times.
Yeah.
So summoning him just kind of ends the game.
And I think the advantage, like, technically with Access Code Talker, you can make that guy pretty big. You know, you send a Link 3, he's like 54, I think. With the way his math works out, because he starts at 23 and it's like 1,200 or something. Or maybe it's big. With Firewall Dragon Singularity, you just need to send one monster and you're 55. If that doesn't kill your opponent and your opponent doesn't get rid of this guy, Neo Tempest Terahertz is just like, hey, guess what? Now I'm even bigger. Send another one. Like, it's a card that can just become the OTK machine, and also it gets bigger the farther you go along.
Yeah, the biggest problem is just kind of, it probably doesn't need to be, if it's on the board longer than 3 turns, you've done something wrong. Or your opponent's playing a billion, like battle phase sweeps.
Yeah. But it's certainly a very, very strong contender to, like, give this archetype a thing. And like I said, I'm pretty sure, especially because it doesn't really call it anything other than Cyberse, several Cyberse decks played him as a finisher because it was just like, hey, here's a guy. I'm pretty sure, Maze of Memories was a pretty cheap set as opposed to, like, chasing down Access Code Talker. He's still a huge OTK machine. But technically, like we said, Neo Tempest was still a promo card. You know, he was released for an anniversary celebration. So this is the big one that they tried to actually put forward for, we're bringing Firewall back. He's back and bigger than ever. Firewall Dragon Singularity. He's literally just Firewall Dragon, but bigger.
Oh my god.
You might say he's thick. His thighs are a little thick. We've added some gold, accent colors.
For this just being Firewall again, I'm not vibing with it as well.
I think it is because it is just kind of Firewall again. Like, the first version we saw of Dark Fluid was like, okay, they didn't like shift the color scheme right, but Neo Tempest showed that like, no, the design of just Firewall but Firewall but evil mode works. Singularity really is just bigger Firewall.
Like, I do like all of the design bits we've added, but it's still just it's Firewall.
I got to shout out one for the people I know at home in the chat, and then for members of the team who would say it. Firewall Dragon Singularity is the mid-season Gundam upgrade. It's still the same mobile suit, but we added some extra fins to his head, and it's like,
yeah,
it's okay.
It's the aerial rebuild where we just give it like a bigger shield. It's just got a shield then. Don't worry about it.
It's okay. Like, it's not bad. It's just like you said. I see this and I'm like, okay. The background's doing something interesting with, we're doing all the 6 colors again for the Ignis. We're calling back to that thing that Dark Fluid does. But it is just Firewall, but bigger. And also now his fingertips are Konami orbs. Why did you do that, Konami? Why did you give him orb fingers?
I don't mind it as much. I think it's a fine color accent. Like,
yeah,
it's whatever.
So this one is really just Dark Fluid 2. I mean, it's technically it's Firewall Dragon 3. This is the Link 6. So we are truly getting unbelievably large. I don't actually... How many Link 6s are there? Is it the only one so far? No, it's tied with Arrival Cybers. That is also 6.
Arrival Cybers and Singularity are the only 2 Link... Yeah, makes sense. They're the only 2 Link 6s.
Yeah, so, like, this guy's supposed to be very inswollenated. First of all, its arrows are like a reverse pyramid. It's got the 3 forward-facing ones, left and right, and then 1 back. Basically being like... On the one hand, this is like... Hey, if you can set this guy up and have a Link summon left, you can make the V-Link, Or it's just like, fuck it, we ball. We don't care. 3+ effect monsters for a 3,500 attack Link 6 monster. Dark Cybers, obviously. Quick effect. Target cards your opponent controls are in their graveyard up to the number of different card types. Ritual Fusion, Synchro Xyz you control, and in your graveyard. Return them to the hand. Also, this card gains 500 attack for each returned card. If a monster this card points to is destroyed by battle or sent to the graveyard, you can target one Cybers monster in your graveyard, special summon it. You can use each effect once per turn. Honestly, again, this is just, this is effectively Firewall 3. It's kind of combining the aesthetics of the original Firewall Dragon and Dark Fluid into one guy. I think, if anything, the only reason why this card wasn't more popular, and it did show up, like I said, when this came out in, Master Duel, I know for sure Mathmech was still viable, so they were playing it as an alternative big Chungus guy, because, with Mathmech, you might make a couple extra Xyz or Synchros, shit like that. So, you can get a reasonable number of bounces, and he gains 500 attack for each, which is already, crazy good. You get 1 bounce, and this guy's a fucking 4K.
This guy is a huge house.
And then, interestingly enough, the way his arrows are is he's really good at board breaking. I think that's honestly probably the reason why he's not more popular. This guy is a card you make turn 2 to just fuck your opponent's shit up. You're like, oh, you've got some monsters there. That's really cool.
Problem's getting to the Link 6.
Yeah, it's the problem is breaking your opponent's board and doing full combo and making a Link 6, which is not insurmountable, but is not easy. Making a Link 6 is already really hard. Ad Ignister's whole shtick, which I do think we will leave out because Dallas didn't show up and we've been here for 2 hours already.
Yeah.
And there's still the Xyz and the Synchro one to talk about, and a couple of other of the Link monsters. So well, we can keep moving the goalposts. But Singularity is Ad Ignister, I should say, has their whole deck built around making Arrival Cybers Ad Ignister and making him really big. And if you make that guy, you win the game. Why do you win the game, though? It's because if you do that guy, you make that fucker correctly, he's unaffected by everything. He's a 5 to 6K guy, most likely, who's just going to be like, no.
I just
Singularity doesn't do that.
I
Singularity's not that
in
good.
The game. Yeah, Singularity does not win the game, but Singularity is a brick shit house that, yeah, if you get to him, you probably won the game.
It's that weird win more state where, like, if you're in a situation to summon Firewall Singularity, you could probably have done anything, and so the game is yours. Does Singularity do that on his own? No, but again, if you can make Singularity, you've probably done a whole Cybers combo where, like I said, this guy bounces one thing, he's fucking 4K. You bounce two things, you know, and again, if you're playing, like, I think pretty sure this guy showed up in Math Mech lists. You have an Xyz monster and a Synchro monster to get out. You bounce two things, he's 45. That's, you know, halfway through the life points. You get a couple of other attackers in there, it can be game over. And his bounce is a hard once, but is a quick effect, so, like, you could set it up as a preemptive play and just be like, okay, buddy, if you do it, I'm going to start bouncing your cards, and then my guy's going to get even bigger. The attack gain's permanent, by the way. So, like...
The thing that I think is interesting about the way this card is worded, too, one of the card... a monster this card destroyed to being destroyed by battle can be a monster that he destroyed.
Yes.
That's funny.
Yeah, so you can
really
technically
actually.
Cybers extend. You can Cybers extend in the battle phase, which probably helps his OTK potential. So yeah, you get some very funny stuff because it just says target a Cybers in your graveyard and special summon it.
Yeah, and the cards your opponent's controls don't have to be the cards this card's pointing to. So you can just leave a guy that this card's being pointed at to then kill it and extend off of it. That's rad, actually.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's a really cool design. I just don't think there's enough of a support structure. Unlike, like I said, the whole point of Ad Ignister is to make a rival Cybers if you're playing it correctly, right? So, like, I don't think there's enough of a substructure to make Singularity, like, pop off like that. But he's cool. He's gonna lurk back there for eventually they'll do it.
It's a really cool effect that just that just doesn't have any build around for it properly. It's just like, well, yeah, if you're playing Cyber Slop and just getting all these guys in your grave, you'll probably do good, but you got to get there, and it's still just, I don't know, like the requirement is far too much for a proper OTK. When you just do the access code line. That kind of works, you know?
Yeah, I mean, if you do the access code line correctly, you get to clean up the board state, and you get another, like, 4 or 5K attacker. That's probably workable. Same with, some other setups. But it was an interesting concept, and I like that they do keep trying to make, they keep trying to make ways to wean the player base off access code talker, and it just doesn't work because the reason why access code talker is popular is because he's 2+ effect monsters. So you can, like, make him with IP and any link to in the universe. Like, I don't know, SP.
Access code is far too generic. Like, it may not deserve an outright ban, but it's a card that just, like, to make alternatives, like, you just can make an alternative to that card at this point. It's just so ubiquitous and easy to get to. I don't think you will ever find a nice way to push it out of the game, like the game meta, without making a card that's just better than it, which you don't want to do.
He's one of those guys. No, you don't, because I think there was an argument for probably I would say like a year there where access code maybe should have seen the list, but Konami didn't want to do it because he was relatively new and like not seeing reprints. He was a very high value card that they didn't want to hit. At several points, I think that guy was 3 digits, so they didn't hit him. His time, I think, has passed. Like, just the way the extra deck works is like, genuinely, you can't guarantee that you can just stick 2 guys and go for game with access code. But he was really strong for a while there. And you can't just compete it. And I think Konami does know that because we saw this right away when they banned Barone, for instance. They also hit Borreload Savage Dragon, which wasn't seeing nearly as much play and requires much more setup. But we understood the moment we saw that they hit Barone, it was like, oh, well, instantly we would pivot to Savage Dragon. So they also hit Savage Dragon because otherwise there's no fucking point. You'll literally just do the same shit, but with a different guy. And it's okay because they gave back. They literally are printing more rocket support in the next set that's coming out in the OCG. They're just giving them Savage Dragon 2, but I think it's like rocket locked. Like I think you have to target a rocket link or something, and it's just like that's fine.
Sure. Cool. Yeah.
I mean, it might not be fine because Dragon Link is one of those sleeper hits that's been like viable in some form for like 5 years. You know, it's won a Worlds.
I mean, true.
But
true.
do you see people playing it lately?
I mean, in the sense of like, if it's locked into rockets, I'm not as mad about the card.
Yeah. At the very least, I'm pretty sure there's a dragon lock on it somewhere, but I think also it might only be able to equip a rocket monster to do its negate. So, like, there's a critical mass of engine you need, as opposed to, like, Savage Dragon, which was literally a generic synchro that just picked any link in your graveyard, which is just like, okay, cool, so you can play this in literally any deck that synchros and links. It link rows. This is another, by the way, super popular boy. This is Proxy Dragon. This is one of the first, like, generic Link 2s there was, I believe. Yeah, this was a Megatin promo in 2017. Would have been a chase card at that time, even though he has left and right arrows. It's just, this is a guy who's just any 2 monsters makes Proxy Dragon.
Proxy Dragon? Oh, yeah, Proxy Dragon. Yeah. Proxy Dragon was... Yeah, no. When this card came out, people were like, dude, this card fucking rocks because it just has generic arrows. Like, it just has good arrows, so we like, you gotta get it. You have to play it. We were
It's a
down
Lightsabers Link 2 that's got arrows that point left and right, so basically any downward-facing arrow and any 2 more guys, and you've, like, started setting up the U-Link. People were, I think, a little obsessed with the U-Link, but it was a thing you could do. And
this was before the time of the U-Link, but like when this card first came out, it was just, oh my god, it's left and right arrows. We fucking need this. Like, oh my god, like we've been desperate for this shit.
Links were a really interesting thing, and like I said, I think this is part of the reason why they cut him out of Genesis. Because playing like that fucking chessboard mentality of where you put Link monsters in the EMZ does hurt your brain a little sometimes, especially when you're learning. But there were players who were doing their best with it when it came out, and like Proxy Dragon, a truly generic Link 2 with left and right arrows, is just like, that's pretty good. We can do stuff with that. And it actually has a card effect. It says if cards you control be destroyed by a battle or card effect, you can destroy one of your monsters this card points to instead. Which means that, and you may think, oh, well, that doesn't do the same thing. No, chat. First of all, that lets you redirect any spot removal to just a card this card points to. By the way, that's not once per turn, because it's monsters it points to, so the most it can be 2. But also it means that, like, if your opponent tried to, like, Dark Hole or Raigeki you, which I'm pretty sure that would have been around the time those cards were coming back, you could just not. You could just be like, nah, I'll lose one guy instead.
Yeah. No, like, the removal of this guy, like the spot removal protection of this guy was, like, was never game determinative, but it would have its place and would just be like, oh, no one ever actually reads the other half of this card, essentially. Yeah.
You would be forgiven for thinking that he was what is it, Lanfo, you know, Lance Varinkus, the guy that's just a Link 2 that has no effect. But no, he has an effect. Proxy does something, and I've seen him in lists.
You know, he does have has a place, and a lot of people kind of like they joke about this card nowadays, but like back then it did its job. It was good.
I think honestly we joke about a lot of cards that get bought out like that. Like, you know, you'll see something in a tin and you're like, oh my god, this is the most important card of the year, and then 2 years later it's not.
It was what fucking the Illusion Magician girl that like people were hyping up as this like, oh, this card's gonna be $5,000. It's gonna break the game. And it was fucking nothing.
Yeah, Apprentice Illusion Magician is like a really good card.
Apprentice Illusion.
Illusions are good, chat, but just it's because she's like discard any card to summon her.
She's not even
but
an
there's
illusion,
like
she's a spell cap. She's separate from all of that.
Right, yeah, no, the Dark Magician one, yeah. I was thinking of Apprentice Night Magician. Yeah, no. Apprentice Illusion Magician also has the same like discard effect of just discard a guy, summon a guy. Also, she's honest, and it's like, yeah, but like, It's honest though, and a free body. Maybe it's just that thing of just like we exist in. That would have been in what? Dark Side of Dimensions? Yeah, I think so. So like, we were so close to the Link era, which just like, what's a free body, man? Everybody's got a free body. Who doesn't have free bodies?
I don't want this to sound rude. I think it really was the Yugi boomers seeing this effect and not properly realizing that that effect is good. That effect does not win you the game, and a lot of people just like got it in their head that, oh no, this is the one thing that Dark Magician needs. So this will make Dark Magician tier 0. Because like, how are they going to stop a free body and an honest?
Yeah, I mean that's listen. Konami has absolutely fucked. This is a security dragon, by the way. I'm not sure I'm happy about
this guy's
about
fine.
Him. He's a little weird. He's a little chibi Firewall. He's supposed to look a little silly.
I don't mind the chibi. The beak is weird, but the rest of it I'm neutral on.
I mean, Firewall kind of has a beak. I think he's got more of a normal mouth shape to it normally. The fact that he's got sirens in his shoulders is like a little. It's a little weird, but he's
security.
Yeah, he's a cartoon, so it's not that bad. But no, like I was gonna say, Red Eyes is clearly like the most forgotten child of if we can call it the big 3 pillars. Technically, I would say if you were going by structure decks, it was 4 pillars, but we don't talk about toon support either. But Dark Magician always feels like, despite the fact that was the protagonist's iconic favorite monster, Dark Magician is truly always the bridesmaid, never the bride, as opposed to, like, Blue Eyes, which has gotten multiple waves of honestly overtuned, overcranked support. It's crazy. But yeah, no, Apprentice Illusion Magician doesn't break Dark Magician. Part of it's because, guess what? They won't give you the rank 6 that Dark Magician is supposed to play. They won't give you Magi Magician Gal. R.I.P. You gotta play Naruto the Moral Needler instead. Yeah, Security Dragon's alright.
Isn't he basically just a baby, like plus Firewall Dragon's effect, basically, doesn't it?
Yeah, so he's got front back arrows, he's a Link 2. He is 2 monsters, so he's another generic Link 2. I believe this guy came out a little after, actually no, a couple years after Proxy. But it says, once while face up on the field, if this card's co-linked, target one monster opponent controls return to the hand, you can use this effect Security Dragon once per turn. So this feels like, because this was mid-2019, I think this would have been right around the time Firewall did get banned. This is probably the,
I think so.
Okay, shit. Well, what if you really need to do the Firewall thing? We'll make a guy who does kind of what Firewall does. It bounces a card your opponent controls. That's what we planned on you doing with Firewall Dragon. I'm pretty sure I've seen this guy in lists. I mean, he's a generic Link 2, like a truly generic Link 2. So, like, again, SP Little Knight was a long time coming, chat. Like, we were down bad for Link 2s for so long. That just a little front back guy.
I really cannot overstate the level of down bad people were for any Link monster that just had generic requirements in like the first year of the Link era. Like, you may not think of it like that, but no, like the one generic Link monster we had outside of Cyberse monsters was Mrs. Radiant for like the first 3. It was that and Gaia Saber, and Gaia Saber only had 1 era, so it was not worth doing an extra monster zone. But like, just having generic requirements was what everyone drooled over these Link monsters early on.
Yeah. And I think unfortunately that means that Security missed his time a little. But even by 2019, it was just saying, well, he's a generic Link 2. He's a truly generic Link 2. What can we break that? Because this would have been the time that we were releasing broken Link 2s, and it's like, wait, this is Link 2. Can we break it? The answer, probably not. Probably not going to break Security Dragon, but
Comic Magician, what the Grinder Golem, all that bullshit. But yeah, this is a cute. It's a cute nod to Firewall.
Yeah.
that's about it.
Like obviously, I think with both Proxy Dragon, being basically a snake looking, a Wyrm type Firewall Dragon. Security Dragon is also clearly meant to mimic him. They're trying to give you like little alternatives, little things to play to build up to it. Didn't quite work out. They did actually release. Oh, wow, that's really tiny. Hold on. So I was grabbing Firewall Exceed Dragon, but his art was super small for a second. Let's try that again. But they did release at least a out and out Firewall Dragon, though it has some other stuff in the way. That is an Xyz and a Synchro.
Okay.
There are like 3 like generic, like non-archetype Cybers rituals. None of them is explicitly a firewall, but one of them is Paladin of the Storm Dragon, which is kind of like a firewall. But yeah, Exceed Dragon. I feel like once again I got to talk about. Yeah, I got to say, remember that conversation we had about Gundams? Yeah, this is one of those sorts of things. Like, that's a very Gundam thing to just be like, his head is an X now. He's got big old jet boosters too, but they're blue, so they're cool. Honestly, like, other than his shoulder pauldrons being a little big, because they're also like his wings, I don't think there's much to complain about here.
Yeah, like, the wings are a bit big, but I don't mind it because it definitely is supposed to be a big accent of his design.
Mm-hmm.
It works.
And, like, honestly, how many... I don't even know how many Xyz, like, Cyberses there are. Like, I don't think it was very common to go back. There's a couple, yeah. I mean, there's a couple Math Mechs. I think there's 2 or 3. We've talked about Math Mech before. I don't remember. And there's this guy. And there's probably a couple of generics out there. But yeah, Firewall Exceed Dragon. Dark Cybers, Ixie, rank 4, 25, 2000. The beauty of this sort of setup is that, you can ape previous protagonists' ace monster stats this way, very similar to a Utopia level. 2+ level 4 monsters. This Xyz summoned card gains 500 attack times the total link rating of link monsters linked to this card. So just if a link monster points to it, he gets bigger. That's a good reason to actually play him in your link deck. You can detach 2 materials from this card, then target 1 Link 4 Cybers Link monster in your graveyard, special summon it, so that it points to this card. You can't special summon monsters or attack directly for the rest of this turn.
Which can immediately make it a 4,500, and that's not even if it's already linked to something beforehand, which you probably are doing when you summon it, so it's going to be ideally a brick shit house.
And obviously, like, the can't attack directly only matters if your opponent doesn't have monsters you can slap for game. Which
or
they
doesn't
might
have one shitty little guy you can beat over the head with and just insta-kill them with this guy.
I also do appreciate that this is... this is not... That's not a once per turn. If you stick 4 mats under this guy, you can do that twice.
That's funny. That's really funny.
That's not going to happen often, but you could do it.
It's like, it's not going to happen, but it's super funny and it should happen.
And honestly, like, encourages using... I mean, what's the odds you play multiple Link 4s, right? But Link 4s, they got a lot of extra arrows, so you can fuck around with that a lot. And that kind of play. So, yeah, you could make Exceed Dragon very big. I, once again, do believe I've seen this guy in a few lists off and on. Like, I may have seen him in some Math Mech, because they also made rank 4s.
I definitely recognize his look. I definitely have seen him, like, been a piece, but, like, he's rarely a card you'll see come up consistently. He's I would say he's a win more card that, like he's like, it's a win more OTK card that has enough niche aspects. I can definitely see it coming into play.
I think his main problem is just that he's truly too generic. He is a Cybers Ixie, but he's, just requires level 4 monsters and just requires Link monsters. Ideally, I mean, it is a Link 4 Cybers monster, but the odds that you're not going to run into that are, like, very small. Also, hey, guess what? The Link 4 Cybers monsters are really good. Firewall Dragon, Access Code Talker. Like, there's plenty of room for him to pick, guys that are generic anyway. Oh
yeah,
no,
for
you
sure.
can't, use him with Sarya Skuldred. What are you gonna do? But it does feel like it's a kind of a card where, like, if you were playing a more focused archetype deck, you're like, we can probably cut Exceed Dragon, But he's still cool. And, like, again, if they actually tried to make Firewall kind of stand on its own, and they don't have to, obviously, because, like, that's not technically how the anime went, but they have tried to make Code Talkers stand on their own, and unfortunately that does mean that there's no reason to play Firewall Dragon and Firewall Dragon's versions in those decks as much, because they don't get that extra sauce. Especially now that there's literally a Code Talker who is also an Ad Ignister now. Like, they did that. They literally made the bridge card. So, well, obviously, cards like Dark Fluid and Singularity reference, at Ignister, the Ignis, the AIs, but it doesn't name check at Ignister. But yeah, Exceed is cool. Also, honestly, he's a little over the top, and it's funny, but I think that the Synchro guy is also cool. That's Firewall Saber Dragon.
Oh, I love this, though. This looks rad.
Yeah, no, so he's like all purple and dark tones. He's covered in swords, and it's like, yeah, that's extra, but it's fun.
It's a level of extra that I'm like, no, I'm fine with it. I don't know why, but this one works. I don't know. Like, it just does.
Yeah.
Aesthetically, something about it.
This is another one that I think came out relatively recently. Oh shit, this guy just came out.
Oh shit.
This is from Alliance Insight. This is from literally this year. Shit.
Nice.
Took him a while. Honestly, that also probably explains why Dark Fluid and stuff was also kind of like, he was played a little but was not played a lot. It's because there were a couple of weird little cyber synchro extenders. Like, there was like a level 2, and like a level 6, I think, but you didn't really have
there
strong...
wasn't like a dedicated...
Yeah. There was not a dedicated generic one.
This guy's purely made as a Cyber Extender Synchro monster, as opposed to just being a Synchro monster you'll play if you're playing Cybers.
Yeah, because, and the thing is, their math mechs are also Cybers. The problem is, your math mechs ideally want the EMZ to themselves. The whole point of that deck is that you put your big guy in the EMZ, and your final Sigma is, indestructible type shit. So...
Yeah.
That doesn't really lend itself to also putting a fat Link 5 in the EMZ. Because you're not putting a Link 5 on the EMZ, bud. Not this economy. But so this is another attempt to clearly, like, make that work out. Again, the appearance tab is, like, redded out, but I would feel like this is entirely possible. This guy was in the anime and they just, didn't add him until later. But like I said, there were some generic Cyberses that could have been the synchro monster in the anime. But Saber Dragon is pretty rad. He is a Dark Cybers, level 7 synchro. Interestingly enough, 2,300 attack, 2k defense. A little low for a level 7 synchro, but matches with Code Talker, so that's fun. Completely generic. Any tuner and non-tuner makes this. If this card is synchro summoned, target a Cybers monster in your graveyard or your banishment. Put that shit in your hand. You can target one other Cybers monster you control with a level. This card's level becomes that monster's. And if this card is sent to the graveyard as link material, add one AI spell from your deck to your hand. You can use each effect once per turn. This is... It's funny because, I don't think the new Code Talker Ad Ignister stuff, does stand out on its own. Like, I'm sure you can make that deck, but a lot of people just put it in Malice because Dark Cybers. Saber Dragon here is, like, one of those bridge cards that's just... Do everything. Synchro summon him.
Why not?
Add a Cybers back. Target another Cybers. Level fix him. You can now Xyz with this card. Or, if you link it, add an AI spell. All the AI... Well, not all the AI spells. I think some of them are stinkers. Some of them are also so bad they haven't come out of the anime yet. But many of them are very good.
Just do whatever you want regardless.
Yeah, no, this is great card design. Honestly, Konami, give me a proper fusion Firewall Dragon. I know that there's like Cyber's Clock Dragon and stuff like that. But But give me a proper Firewall fusion monster and a Firewall ritual monster, and name check some more Firewall dragons, and like we got something here. This could be a thing.
Yeah, I mean, like, we're missing... Do we have a ritual monster, actually?
There is
I know we
not
have
like I said, there's not a Firewall ritual monster.
We have a
there
Cynet ritual, so I know we have, like, baked-in Cyberse rituals for this.
They did do,
like,
I mentioned him earlier, they did do Paladin of the Storm Dragon, who is a level 4 Cyberse ritual, but he doesn't actually name-check Firewall Dragon at all, so he's weird. But I think there's room for a proper ritual. And then obviously, like I said, you need a Firewall fusion dragon.
Sooner or later, I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, I will say that's the thing that I think is really cool about Vrains is they did kind of Arc 5's thing, but they didn't forget about rituals either, where they're like, oh shit, right, there are other summoning types besides Lynx. Let's get them all in here. And that's one of the things that's like really cool about Ad Ignister. Like I said, I'm pretty sure we'll talk. Well, technically, we'll probably talk about that in 2 weeks because I should remember to honor my Patreon stuff, and Ashened won the poll. So we can talk about Dark Souls, but Yu-Gi-Oh! And just be slightly disappointed.
Yeah, sadly.
Yeah, I think not even the OCGs saved that one. They tried, but it's not enough gas. But when we talk about the Ad Ignisters, all the Ad Ignister extra deck monsters, and even main deck, because Water Leviathan I think is the ritual one, but they all like have different attributes, yes, but they're also all different card types. So you've got Link, Ixie, Synchro, Ritual, Fusion, etc., and like most of those have seen play as like weird one-off tech cards. Earth Golem Ad Ignister in particular is another one that you've probably seen a lot in lists because he's a super poly target. He's a very funny one because his materials are like, I think, either a Link monster or a extra deck monster plus a Cyberse. So it's like, okay, hey, are you playing extra deck shit with a Cyberse monster? Get super polyed. But like, Wind Pegasus and Light Dragon, the Xyz and the Synchro, you see those in a shitload of decks because they're just generically good. I think you see Fire Phoenix less, but that's mostly because if you're playing Fire Cyberse Links, you're playing Salad anyway. But, they tried.
Yeah,
like,
that's just you just kind of get there.
So, like, it's still, they have stuff, so I'd love to see some more Firewall stuff, because, like, honestly, like we said, Saber's not a bad design. He's pretty cool, even though I just realized he's literally doing the red lens flare eyes meme. Like, that's very fun. It's a little hard to see probably on stream, but his eyes are doing the little twinkle.
The aesthetics of this card, they're simple, sleek, and could be extra if there was more going on, but I think it just finds that balance.
Yeah, so I'd love to see them try more. And again, it's one of those weird cases where, like, much like, Pendulum decks are probably never going to get really good support ever, from a combination of either just the TCG hates Pendulum guts and the OCG does have to play careful because they do have a format where you can play one Electromite, one, Beyond the Pendulum, one Exceed the Pendulum. Like, you've got so many Pendulum extenders in the OCG. You got to be careful because you don't want to, like, create an FTK deck, which we're always perilously close to with the way Pendulums work. But, like, I think there was some bad blood with Firewall because he was so good. I was going to say so bad, but so good for so long. And then, took his deserved hit and then came back. And it's like, we can forgive his sins. I genuinely, I do think Konami keeps cards on the ban list a little too long. It took them a long while to actually let the Dragon Rulers out, and I think we even perpetuated this. We were talking on the thing like, oh, you could never bring, the Water Dragon Ruler back. He's a foolish burial. Well, guess what? All the decks have foolish burials. Are you gonna play Water just to play a foolish? It's like, they're good cards, and they should be strong. I'm kind of waiting to see what they get the new support, like their Xyz and stuff in they don't have that Master Duel yet. I'd literally like to try that out, especially with the new Dragon Maid stuff as well. Try Dragon Ruler, or Maid Ruler. But it turns out that just, hey, if you want to just play generic Dragon Turbo deck, Dragon Link is right there. We probably could have this back for years. I think we even talked about it with Blaster, right? It was like, well, they could at least bring Blaster back. Blaster's not going to do anything. He's just a pop 1. And it's still, Blaster was banned for, I want to say, like probably a year or 2 after he could have come back and done nothing. Like,
there were a lot. There were a lot of just random names on the ban list that sometimes just are there too long. Yeah.
Yeah. And so our last entry is, this is the only Cynet card that's specifically for Firewall. This is Cynet Circuit. It shows Exceed Dragon being powered up by Firewall Dragon. Good. Gets it across. So, this normal trap is very simple. It says, target one Firewall Link monster you control. Special summon any monster from your graveyard to either player's zones linked to that monster. And then, if your LP are 2,000 or less, you can banish this card from your graveyard. Return one Firewall Link monster from your graveyard to the extra deck. Then you can special summon that monster from your extra deck. You can use each effect once per turn. Anime-ass bullshit card, but very funny. Literally searchable.
I mean, like, this is what, like, anime, like, this random anime support to be. Like, who cares? Just, like, let them have fun. Doesn't matter.
And I think it works better for the bigger Firewall Dragons, you know, because it's like, you know, summon cards you control, including to players' zones. Like, hey, with Singularity and stuff, or the other cases where you can't attack directly, this really works for that, because then that lets you set up, like, Exceed and stuff better, because you can pick your random 0 attack point monster and put them in your opponent's board, kind of a thing. The main problem is it's a trap card, so, like, you have to be on... It's only going to be good on, like, turn 3. Unless, of course, you can just, like, floodgate your opponent, which we don't want to do. But it's funny. I like it. I like the graveyard effect of, like, being like, hey, if you didn't kill me, but you broke my board, my Firewall's coming back, bud. Like, I'm going to banish him. I'm going to banish his card. So it's a cool one.
I'm going to go fucking go. Yeah, we got some... We do have some fun cards going on here.
It's one of those cases where sometimes when we look at an archetype, it makes me a little sad because I'm like, oh, Konami, you could really do something here. Like, clearly, like we said, Firewall's not a cohesive archetype. It's got, like, 4-ish main deck names bolted onto a bunch of other random cards that the protagonist played in Vrains, which have also gone their own direction. Like, Code Talkers is also a established archetype that has support. And so bringing them together is tough, and so it's a case of, like I said, I think multiple times, like, well, I'm pretty sure MathMech List played, like, you know, Tempest Terahertz and or Singularity as, like, a one-off, like, well, if I can make it, you know, I win the game kind of thing, but you also didn't need to do that, so there's not really a good home for the cards. Yeah, if we get there, we get there. You know, it's really fun if you can do it. God knows, I've seen a lot of, you know, Table 500, you know, dual tainting, sub-replay Friday type shit where, like, yeah, they get to the really big chunk of, you know, Firewall, and then you do something funny. That's cool, but it's you know, it's a funny haha anime deck. And again, it's the kind of thing where, like, it'd probably be pretty cool in a low-powered format, but Genesis is clearly going in a different direction for reasons I can't really fault them on. Like, if the point is to appeal to simplify the game state to appeal to broader players, you know, both new and old, the EMZ, like I said, is a little confusing. Pendulum zones were a little confusing, so you couldn't just go back to MR3, so, like, it hurts, but we'll work with it. But definitely could see some more support in future.
Oh yeah, I would want to see more out of this, because there is definitely still room to build and just kind of do what we're doing, like at this more recent, like, level of, I guess, the support. We're like, no, like, we're making shit designed for like making cards designed for the more generic place.
And, like, I don't want to say that, like, Konami won't do that, because, like, I'm just scrolling through the TCG boosters that came out since SciAC, like since Cybernet Access, the way we were Singularity was the cover card, and like almost every one of those cover cards is a fucking nostalgia monster. Like you've got, the very next set was after that was whatchamacallit, Duelist Nexus, which had the all the new Speedroid shit. Like that was the big new the clear wing on it. Agov, Age of Overlord had, Light Zark on it, Light Ray Zark. Phantom Nightmare had Ubel on it. Ubel won a fucking Worlds.
I love that.
Legacy of Destruction had the Shining Sarcophagus version of Gandora X on it. Infinite Forbidden obviously has the big Fusion Exodia fucker on it. Glad to see that and the Millennium Engine had some points in Genesis. Those guys can be... Summoning the Unstoppable Exodia is like the most free card in the world. You play Millennium Ankh, you reveal to the fact that you're playing 5 bricks, and you summon a big guy. But Rage of the Abyss has a Shark card on it. It's the cover card is C32. Shark Drake Levice. Supreme Darkness has Evil Hero Neos Lord. Alliance Insight, which came out earlier this year, has like I said, the aforementioned Allied Code Talker Ad Ignister. Duelist Advance had the number F0 Utopic Futures Exel. And Doom of Dimensions, which just came out in the TCG, has one of the new DDD guys. It's DDDD Dimensional King Arc Crisis. Because, hey, by the way, speaking of, like, crazy retro shit, like, this is the time where the set that's just come out in the TCG is the one where they gave them all the crazy DDD stuff. Like, Queen Machina X, Lance Soldier, Defense Soldier, shit like that. Clovis, so all that stuff is, like, real good. And yeah, Burst Protocol is going to be the next TCG set after Doom of Dimensions. That's going to be the one where all the rocket stuff's in it. And, like, yeah, they're doing cool stuff. So I'm sure they'll hit it up. That's right. We also... I'm sorry. I'm remembering the cards they've previewed for Burst Protocol because it's not out in the OCG yet. It's like a whole bunch of new rocket stuff. That's also new wave of Fur Hires.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, there's going to be new Fur Hires. There's new Dark Lords. We're making new Dark Lords that are going to come out, in, like, 2026 in the TCG, but yeah. Yeah, Dark Lord Jehuti. We made our second or third Lucifer. Lucifer, Dark Lord of Evening Twilight, is another new big asshole. 2 level 6 or higher Dark Fairies. If this starts Fusion Summon, set a Dark Lord spell and a Dark Lord trap from your deck. Quick effect, pay 1,000, target a Dark Lord spell trap in your graveyard, apply that target's effect.
Oh, I do love the look of this new Lucifer.
Yeah, the cards look pretty good. Oh, and they got a fusion card, yeah. Dark Lord Pleasure.
Oh.
They just roommates chat. Fusion summon 1 Dark Fairy Fusion monster from your extra deck by banishing materials from your hand, field, or graveyard. If you do it, gains 1,000 attack. If you summon a Dark Lord, you can use Dark Lord monsters your opponent controls as material. So if you summon Dark Lords to your opponent's field, you can slurp them back up.
Damn, they're gay as hell.
So, like, yeah, no, like, and that they're also doing a new wave of Archfiend support as well, based around, like, Eccentric. You've got Royal Archfiend, Duke Archfiend, Highness Archfiend, etc., like, which is, like, a ritual archetype. Doom Emperor Archfiend's a ritual pendulum type shit. So, like, we're still doing very funny things at Konami HQ, chat. We don't even know this full set yet.
Yeah, no, like this is only 20-something cards in the set, it looks like.
Yeah, and there's 80 numbers, so... Listen, yeah, we're still cooking. And that's why I think that, like, it's maybe possible that Genesis becomes the premier way to play. But I think that there's still plenty of room for other shebangs, other sheboinies. But it's a good time. But it means we've been going for almost 3 hours, if not over. Yeah, about 250. My water ran out like 30 minutes ago, chat, so my throat's a little dry. But Failed Portrayal. We talked about Firewall Dragon. We did talk about pretty thorough examination of Genesis. Like I said, next week should be Ashened, and we might stick Mitsurugi in there as well. At some point, we'll do Adignister. I know it's on the list, but I said this when we started the Code Talker type cyber stuff. We're probably going to use this as a jumping off point to talk about a lot of Rain's decks that we haven't talked about yet. You know, Adignisters, actually get Rockets and Borals in there at some point, shit like that. So, you know, there's some things to talk about.
Like the cyber suite of cards will feed us for like 2 months at this point.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't even talked about the, like, other, you know, supporting characters in Vrains who kind of represent other attributes. So, like, hey, guess what? Not only do I know a lot about Trickstar, but also there's Marincess, Water Cybers.
We're gonna, like...
Salad
we're gonna
has
be here
been
a while,
super
guys.
popular deck. And that also... Salamangreat also works because they made that a fucking structure deck, too. Also, Rockets were a structure deck as well, so you know, it kind of works out as well because we were previously covering structure decks, which is where we started this because there were like, I shit you not, there were like between starter decks and structure decks, there were like 4 or 5 Code Talker / generic cyber decks. They really wanted you to buy starter capable decks with Link Monsters, chat. And again, it's very funny that Genesis just cuts out Link Monsters because Konami tried so hard to make them accessible and bring them into the game, and now we're just like, well, you know, the EMZ's a problem. Let's just cut it out.
I just get rid of it. Just throw it out. Like the pendulum zones. The fuck, don't fucking need it. Just throw them away. Throw them away. It's like before then. No, out of the game. It's not here.
But we'll keep talking about this stuff, and hopefully, if we got. Again, as you can see from the fact that, once again, the crew has dwindled down to just 2. You know, that was always possible, as Axe has stuff on Tuesdays these days, and Loth did pencil in before that he was a maybe. But we'd like to get back into some cubes. I need, like, 4 people all at once on a Tuesday night to do a cube, I think.
We need
at
more
least 3.
guys.
At
We
least
need
3 people
guys
have to
for a
show up,
cube.
yeah. But definitely I should look at some of these cyber, like the Firewall stuff and see. Hell, honestly, like, you could probably put, like, one of, like, the big Firewalls in a cube, because it's like, are you going to be able to summon this guy? I don't fucking know. If you do, you should win the game.
It'd be really funny. It would be a power move.
So, well, I'll maybe think about brewing some more Cybers cubes. It's been a while since I put my cube hat on, because everybody's schedules have been so chaotic. But yeah, thanks for watching the stream. Tomorrow, tune in for more Final Fantasy XIV. You'll get to see me continue to farm my Aether Pools because I've been stricken with a foul curse called Crystal Tower. I was getting, like, Evilise raids for, like, a solid week, and then for, like, the past, like, 4 or 5 days straight, it's always been a Crystal Tower raid, which gives the least amount of points for the Relic grind. And I'm just like, why? Why have you done this to me? So I'll do more of that, I'm sure, and we'll probably try some other stuff. But thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time. Don't forget to check out the Patreon to vote in polls for future special episodes and stuff. All right, good night before I start dying and croaking.
Good night, everybody.